Field coaches with us on Grandstand AFL. Jordan, Ben Cunnington, he's been close coming back from that testicular cancer. He had a little bit of an injury setback a couple of weeks ago. Probably not as bad as the club thought. How far away, speaking of leadership and experience, how far away is the Sid Barker medalist?
Yeah, we're really hoping that he can come back for maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year. What that looks like in terms of a half in the VFL, straight back in the AFL, we're not too sure how that'll unfold just yet, but as you said, he got pretty close a couple of weeks ago, and seeing his smile and the infectious nature that he brings for the rest of the group, we're hoping we can get him back on the track training fully in the next couple of weeks. And you never know what that looks like, and if we can get a couple of games into him at the back end of the year, that'll be fantastic for our boys.
We know that Jason Horne-Francis is running around across the road in the VFL at the moment. I think he's had about 26 disposals to three-quarter time in that game. But another player who's running around there is Josh Goater. He was the 22nd pick in the draft last year for North fans. He hasn't featured so far this year, but he's been putting in some good performances. Are we a chance to see him in the back end of the season?
Yeah, we'd like to think so. Josh, he's just got to work on his consistency. He sort of has a couple of really good weeks, as you mentioned, and with his speed and rebound ability, we want to get him inside our best 22 and 23. So he's giving himself every chance. He's just trying to string together 2 or 3 really solid performances, and then we're looking to try and get him straight in.
Jordan, as we let you go, I guess the easy decision would have been to play Jason Horne-Francis. What did it ultimately come down to?
In the end, he hasn't played for a month, and you can train as much as you like and as hard as you like, but you can't replicate a game of AFL footy. So we thought in his best interest, let's get him into the VFL, let him run around, play freely, try and inject his speed and power. And as you said, he's obviously touching the ball and getting involved in the game quite heavily, which is fantastic for him, running around in the midfield. So getting through a full game of footy, hopefully he comes through no dramas, bruise free, and he can come in next week and give us that power and injection back into our side.
What end of the ground will Jack Zeeble play at?
Forward.
And Ben Mackay?
Back.
Oh, I like this. Jordy, you're the first coach that's ever been honest with those questions.
Are you sure he's telling the truth?
You never know.
Jordy's a man of integrity, I know that.
You'll find out in half an hour.
I know he is.
So as we let you go, Jordan, I'm just interested, you spent time with the Western Bulldogs. Obviously they had a really successful period when you were there. How different is the coaching when you're dealing with a struggling side as opposed to a team that's competing for premierships? It sort of feels like at times it'd be Formula One. You're kind of tinkering with a lot of little things, and then when you're with a struggling side, you're rolling up the sleeves and trying to find anything to get it to click.
Yeah, it is. It's been great actually for my coaching development. I was at Carlton for a couple of years where we picked up a couple of spoons, so I know how it's like, how it is being a player in this situation, which gives me that experience, and I can obviously then pass that on to the boys. But the beauty about where we're at the minute is you can actually simplify things, and as you said at the beginning of the chat, you can just go back to the basic fundamentals of the game and try and get that right. Come back to the basics. Let's just keep investing in that, and let's see what we can give and produce today.
And how, as coaches, can you support David Noble? It's obviously a tough period with so much external pressure. How can you focus him on the most important tasks?
Yeah, well, support. Be an ear for him to chat to, continually trust that what we're doing is right, have open conversations, have good feedback around what's working and what's not. At the end of the day, whatever we decide to go with, you back that in 100% and throw your full support behind the playing group and obviously him. So we're tight-knit, we're continually trying to find solutions, and that's all we can do at this point in time.
And you're confident the message is still getting through?
Yeah, we are, yeah. And I mean, you see it in bits and pieces. We're just trying to get that from a four-quarter performance, obviously, and we're continuing to chase that.
Are we going to see something different today?
You're going to see us in front at half-time.
Cool. Beautiful. Well, Jordan, we asked for coach, the president, the CEO, and unfortunately your name got drawn up, and you've given us a great insight. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well Jordan done. Russell from the North Melbourne Footy Club, their midfield coach, who spoke really well.
Yeah, that was a brilliant interview. Absolutely brilliant.
And positive. I love the positives.
I mean, a really challenging time. You've both been around footy clubs when they've been struggling, and for North Melbourne, there doesn't seem to be too many easy answers. And that's ultimately the biggest challenge, is where do you start when you are as rock bottom as what they are?
You start with the fundamentals. And that's
the basics.
Yep, you master those as a football club, then you don't make little silly errors on the ground that then cost you goals up going the other way. And then you start, and then the second part of it is you go with the culture of your football club. Who are the people that you're bringing in? Are they great people? Are they great citizens? Do they want to work hard? Are they all pulling in the same direction? And I think if you get those two right in the initial stages of any rebuild, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but even if you lose, you can actually see that there are improvements coming if we actually see it. That's
Correct.
what we're talking about. So, look, they're in a world of pain. You need to cuddle them a bit. Need to pull them together. Need to actually make them feel better about themselves because at the moment they don't feel that good.
Yeah, and it's hard when 25 inside 50s last week.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Which player is going to enjoy that?
No one.
They're not going to enjoy that. So Sellers is right. During the week, how do you bring some enjoyment back into the club? How do you bring fun in? Because the
What
easy
did you used to do?
Well, we were very, very simple. On a Monday night or Monday afternoon, Sheeds would just say, all right, we're not training today. We're going to jump on a bus and go up to someone's property and have a couple of drinks around a fire.
Exactly right.
Or we'd go down to the local Irish bar there on Mount Alexander Road and have a couple of pies and sausage rolls and just have a chinwag.
It's hard to be perfect all the time. It's impossible.
Especially when you've got a young group like North Melbourne do as well. We know they've got some players at the other end, but with young players coming in, generally the kids that are getting drafted have played in good teams and they've been the best players in the team. So they come into a side when they're not winning, and all of a sudden there is a bit of challenge around pressure at selection. North haven't had that luxury because they've had so many injuries, but it's tough.
Let me tell you, youth won't let you down. They don't let you down, I'm telling you. It's usually the senior blokes.
It's a fantastic point that Joel makes because what happens if the player gets drafted, they're generally the best player in their team. They haven't had to run with a player. They haven't had to worry about tackling, defensive pressure, all that sort of stuff. They go into a team that's on the bottom of the ladder. All those things are more important than actually getting a kick at the football. If you're able to apply that pressure around the ball, if you're a key defender, how do you do that? If you're a key forward, how are you leading? How are you competing in those areas? Because they come in, all they've done is been fed with a silver spoon how good they are. So now they're going the absolute other way. So it's like going from primary school to high school. You're in primary school, you're the king of the castle. You go into high school and all of a sudden you're at the bottom of the tree again.
You got to chase, tackle, harass.
Correct.
And some of them don't do that. Some of them are just ball winners.
Well, I think they're 18th for pressure rating in the competition. Collingwood aren't a hell of a lot better, but when you don't have the skill, and they don't have the sort of, apart from Aaron Hall, North Melbourne don't have the skill to move the ball. So the designated kicker that we see some teams have, they don't have that sort of go-to player. And then maybe they don't have the effort there to sort of counteract that.
They've got the skill. They're frightened to make a mistake. Yep. Sometimes you've got to actually be really bold.
They're frighteningly predictable at times.
That's true. And we all understand that. Yeah. We know where they're going to go because it's easy for them to do that. And that's what the killer is. When it's not easy, that's what we talk about with Blakey. Blakey's not... You wouldn't know what he's doing. Yeah. He just charges and all those sorts of things. I'd love to see some of that. Bold. Be bold.
You look at it, and I've always thought this, a developing team, it's about a goal and a half a quarter. So 6-goal margins.
Yep.
So within the season... You're going to lose more than you win. How many 6-goal margins are inside that? How many 6-goal margins are the other side of that? And that's the problem with North. They're the other side of that too often. They're not getting inside that 6 goals because, and we've said this for years, Sellers, you and I, the best development for any young player is in the last quarter of a close game. Like that one quarter of football when it's close and tight is probably worth 2 or 3 games of football.
And you're out of juice.
They're not getting that. They're 70 points behind at 3-quarter time. It's going through the motions.
And you compare that with a team like Collingwood, who, how many games have they won by under 11 points? They've been on the right side of them this season as opposed to last year we're on the wrong side. Just to close the North Melbourne angle, when do you know when a coach is no longer getting the best out of a playing group? Because there's a lot of speculation around David Noble. I mean, Benamafio hasn't been there for all that long and they've got a new president in Songia Hood. When do you know that it's time to pull that lever?
Probably when the player's not responding to simple instruction. I think.
So if they lost by 100 points today, would that start to swing your mind? Back-to-back 100-point losses?
It start to worry, And then the other part is that physical pressure. If you're asking for that as a coach and you're not getting that,
you know yourself. The coach knows. The coach knows if he's not getting the best out of him. But I want to see him be hard to play against today. I don't care if they win or lose or whatever or draw, but I want to see them difficult to play against, restrictive, and sometimes with the ball in hand. Hurt the opposition. That
Justin Longmuir blueprint was one of the best I've seen in a long time. When he came in, Fremantle were nowhere. They were nowhere, and he goes, you know what? Hey, boys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be really hard to play against. We're going to play our kids. We're going to teach our kids the right way, how to play. Now look at them.
And when you win, that's the clearly defined thing that sees you play well. And if you lose, it's the thing that will keep you somewhere in the vicinity because it's the fallback. It's what you lean on when things aren't going your way.
Correct.
Well, Jeff Brown said the best thing today. Strategy gets you nowhere. Culture gets you everywhere.
It's such an even season when you think Collingwood lost to the West Coast Eagles. They're taking on North Melbourne today, so it's the kind of
West
game.
Coast Eagles.
At Docklands that you don't want to slip up to. The Gold Coast Suns take on Richmond, so a good clash for the Tigers, who are building nicely. The Suns with a step back, losing to Collingwood last week. And St Kilda and Fremantle, I mean, the Saints are just hanging around the contract news that both Stuart Dew and Brett Ratton have signed contract extensions, so it starts to settle the coaching landscape just a little bit, Rama.
Yeah, it does. I don't love the Gold Coast Richmond game tonight. I think Gold Coast, you look at the players that have been injured or left out of this team over the last couple of weeks, they're all players with speed. I think that's
Isaac Rankin. I think the health and safety protocols.
Yeah.
Connor Hardwick.
Markoff's out this week again.
Out.
So, but you go back to Will Powell when he unfortunately dislocated his ankle. Alex Davies, Farah, they're all guys with speed. And I think last week in that Collingwood game particularly, that was costly at the end. Collingwood was still running. They were still trying to take the ball through the middle of the ground. All Gold Coast were doing was just bombing the ball. They didn't have a player that could take the game actually on. So that's a bit of a concern there. And the other game, the St Kilda Freo should be a ripper. Should be an absolute ripper. But you're right, the coaching landscape is starting to settle down. I'm absolutely rapt that Stuart Dew and Brett Ratton have got their extensions because they thoroughly deserve it the way their two teams are playing.
And Freo at home are obviously a much better team. What about the scenario at the Brisbane Lions? All of a sudden,
that's at Docklands.
It is.
Yes.
It is tonight. St Kilda and Freo. So
St Kilda won that game earlier in the year at Perth Stadium.
You're right. You're 100% right. And, of course, Port Adelaide and GWS the other game tonight. But the Brisbane Lions have been hit by all sorts of challenges. Yeah. COVID. Chris Fagan had it last Friday. He's
injury.
Obviously come back and he's right to coach. But Dane Zorko out through injury. Daniel Rich as well. Jared Berry, who we chatted to, unfortunately, is out with a hamstring injury. And all of a sudden,
they've
the
got
Lions,
8 changes.
Yeah, just look a little bit vulnerable against the Bombers.
But you know what? West Coast had this too. This is the problem. They had a massive bout of that, and Freo as well. So in Perth, so you got to suffer your consequences sometimes. The AFL said you must field the team.
And the problem is, it gives Essendon a chance, but over the last 24 hours, Darcy Parish strains a calf, and Mason Redburn's out now as well.
Yeah, so they've both had another change. So Noah Answorth's gone out of that Brisbane team, and then so Jay Kelly, who they had dropped, is now back into the Essendon team to replace Redburn.
I wonder who will captain the Brisbane Lions. Hugh McCluggage?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Ryan Lester? Lockie Neal?
Yeah, I think Lockie.
Given he might have just signed another contract recently to stay in the Brisbane Lions.
Neal would be the
what about the fullback?
Harris Andrews is out as well.
He's out too?
He's out.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's out.
Oh, didn't look at it.
So that's the nightmare scenario.
I think Martin Leslie's the next person in for Brisbane.
Martin Leslie. It's a few years ago.
They had about 4 co-captains at one stage as the Lions, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So a couple of good games to look forward to. And, of course, the Blues taking on the West Coast Eagles, and the Eagles are just starting to click. So another big game for Carlton.
Oh, it's a massive game for them. And let me tell you, this is a very big game for them because they've lost a few on the trot and 1 or 2 here and there, and they don't need to lose any more. They need to hang in there and keep punching away because if they win this game, it puts them in a very, very good spot. That's the big key.
Josh Kennedy back in for
I
the West Coast Eagles.
I wouldn't want to play West Coast on the way home now. I think they've got over that brick wall that was 20 metres high.
What a great test for Taconi tonight against Nick Nat. That'd be
Sunday.
something special.
Yep, Jacob Wiedering back in for the Blues as well. So the full pre-match coming up, the preview from Mark McClure and Adam Romanascus. Collingwood taking on the North Melbourne Footy Club. The Roos are just the 1 win so far this season, and there are no late changes for either side. So a chance to cast an eye forward as to what we'll see from Collingwood and North Melbourne. And later on this afternoon, the Gold Coast Suns and Richmond from Carrara. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Ever heard of Helpers High?
The satisfaction, literally, I cannot define in words.
By volunteering our time, we feed our own positive mood and boost our overall physical and mental health. To celebrate the ABC's 90th year of connecting communities, we're asking you to take the 90 for 90 pledge. Just 90 minutes of your time to help a cause that you care about.
One person can make a difference.
For more information, go to our website, ABC Gives.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
We're gonna be kids.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Collingwood look to extend their winning ways when they take on North Melbourne from the MCG. For Saturday afternoon footy, the Pies have won their last 6. A chance to extend that against the bottom of the table, North Melbourne. The Roos with all sorts of pressure, having only won 1 game so far in season 2022. They do get some reinforcements back with Jack Siebel, the captain, returning, and Callum Coleman-Jones getting his opportunity with the Roos, having lost their last 13, their last 10 have been over 40 points. Matt Clinch to call the action alongside Joel Peterson with you this afternoon. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure are your experts with Lauren Borden down on the boundary. For our listeners just joining us, there's no late changes, so Tyler Brown, the sub for Collingwood, and Jack Marnie for the Roos. And as always, you can get in touch with us on the SMS 0437 774 774. So the Kangaroos making their way out onto the MCG, and the Pies only a few moments away. Of course, Collingwood missing some key personnel as Noel, with no Jordan De Goey and no Darcy Moore. So it brings the opportunity for Josh Carmichael, who's gone from the Country Footy League and Sunraysia League to all of a sudden finding his way playing on the MCG for the Black and White. So the mid-season pickup has been averaging 24 disposals in his 3 VFL games. A big-bodied mid, Josh. So, Joel, so obviously looking forward to seeing Josh go about his work this afternoon.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. He started his junior footy at Imperials up in Mildura, went across to Merbein, and then took his chance in the SANFL, playing for West Adelaide this year, played really well, made it into the Sandford State team that beat Western Australia earlier this season, and then taken it pick 9 in the mid-season draft. So they had some success, Collingwood, of course, with John Noble in the first mid-season draft, and now from West Adelaide, so same club, same lineage, and now they get Josh Carmichael to come into the team, who makes his debut in the AFL at the age of 22. So it's been a little while coming, but it'll be great to see him out there.
And just before we get into the pre-match from Rama and Sellers, I meant to mention during the lead the sad news that Paul Deere sadly passed away overnight, pancreatic cancer, aged 55. So a Premiership Hawk, a Norm Smith medalist, a great legacy, and our thoughts are with his friends and family, given the events of the last 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just really sad. Still very young. He's only 55, Paul Deere. So, yeah, condolences to his family and friends.
So the Kangaroos have made their way out onto the MCG, led by Jack Siebel. The Pies are just a moment or two away with a guard of honour.
Hey, just on Carmichael, you've got to remember too, to get drafted, he had to get an exemption from the AFL to be, because he actually didn't nominate for the national draft at the end of last year because there was just no interest. So from where he's come from to where he is now, to be playing a game on the MCG, it's simply remarkable.
Especially when you consider that a lot of country footy, well, all of it, especially in Victoria, has been cut short in the last few years. So I think he played something like 9 games in the Sunraysia League. That season was called off in July, early August last season, when most of country Victoria's country footy was called off. So, it makes the pathway even more remarkable.
So 22 years of age, 190 centimetres and 89 kilos, number 45 for the Black and White this afternoon, Josh Carmichael. As the Magpies are about to break through their banner, Scott Pendlebury at the front leading them out, and Jack Crisp, who's continuing on with that incredible streak of consecutive games with Clayton Oliver, a risk to miss next week, a chance to extend that lead. And there's all sorts of flames into the daylight sky, and all the sort of usual hoo-ha that takes place as the Magpies are back on the MCG. So Rama, Sellers, take us through what you might cast an eye on this afternoon, with the thought that it could be a heavy one-sided affair.
Well, we know what Collingwood can do, and we know what they're doing right now. We listened to Jeff Brown talk about how the club's being shaped and what their future looks like, and it sounds rosy to me. And all the developments they're doing with different, genders and games of basketball and netball and all that sort of stuff, and footy. I love that sort of stuff, and that's building a really big club, and we love that. And we know how they play. They're positive. We look towards their coach, Craig McRae, and he's a premiership player, and he understands the game really well, and he speaks extremely well, and he's straight and straight to the point. they use the centre of the ground. They've got good speed through the middle of the ground as well. And Nick Dacos and a few of those young kids around the place are just enormous how they run and cover the ground. But they're without Darcy Moore down back, which may test them a little bit. But North Melbourne aren't a challenge at this stage. We've found out they're not a challenge. But we need to find out that they are going to be a challenge at some stage, and they need to work on all their defensive work to try and restrict the opposition, and then try and score as well. There's a balancing act between scoring, going forward, and also saving points. Interesting time for them. I don't know what to say or how to handle it, but usually it's if a club's falling apart, it's usually by the management, and the players need to be cuddled and held together and rewarded, not rewarded, but rewarded with, hey, that was good, you did that well, we're doing this better, that's better, instead of bashed like some people get. But I love the way that Collingwood are playing, love the way they're going forward, love the way they're all about it, and you know what, and they don't need Darcy Moore today. Jeremy Howe's there. He on Zeeble, he would have played on one of those smalls at that end. And then you got Braden Maynard. They're a really good centre, a back line with Quainer, Pendlebury, Murphy, Crisp, who run the ball really well out of that area. Their midfield's good. And up forward with Darcy Cameron and also McCready and also Myercheck. I love Myercheck. I reckon he's a ripper player, honest, straight and basic. And then you know what you're going to get from these guys, and they'll do it again.
Look, it really just depends on how ruthless Collingwood want to be in this game. So, can they go and pick up a little bit of percentage in this game? So their percentage at the moment is 106. So it's the worst of the top 8 teams at the moment. So, can they go and get a little bit of a percentage to cement themselves in that final 8? If it does get tighter then towards the end of the season, at least they got percentage to rely on. So the maturity of Collingwood today to get the job done becomes... But look, whether we like it or not, the story today's North Melbourne and what they can do, they've been horrible. They've simply been horrible over the last few weeks. But if you look at it, and this is my point to this game with a developing team. So you got Bailey Scott, Lazario, Powell, Davies Uniacke, Curtis Taylor, Paul Curtis, Curtis Taylor, Bonner, Coleman, Jones, Perez, Spicer. Put them in spots where they're going to be challenged. Put them on players. Which of those young kids go and put? Does Curtis Taylor go and play on Scott Pendlebury if he's playing forward? Scott Pendlebury's been allowed to run around half back at the moment and just do as he pleases. Could Bailey Scott go and play on Jamie Elliott today? Could Luke Davies-Uniacke go and play on Taylor Adams? Would Powell get an education from Steele Sidebottom on a wing? Those little things, sellers, that I look for, rather than putting your young players in spots where they can hide and get a couple of cheap kicks and possessions. Put them on guys they're going to learn from.
Jaden Stevenson needs a job. I tell you, he needs a job because sometimes he gets lost in the game.
Correct.
Completely lost. So if he goes to one of the better players, that'll be Pendlebury, because he's quicker than him. He's not smarter than him, but he's quicker than him. And take him. And that'd be a good test for him. And all of a sudden, you did a good job. And that reward is what they need.
So I understand the point that Jordan Russell was making around, the way we want to play and the like. Okay, put that out the door. I think you've got to go back to, if they want to be ahead at half time, as he mentioned, well, they've got to get the little things right. They've got to get the matchups right. You can't try to be tricky. No. You can't try. They're just not at that level where they're good enough to be able to do that. So, can Zerha get off his play? Can Larkey get off his play and create? I'd hate to be a North Melbourne forward at the moment. 25 inside forward 50s. If I was playing the forward line, I'd be like, I'm going up the ground. I'm going to go and find the ball. Otherwise, I'm going to catch a cold here.
Yeah, but the point to me is, and you're trying to make that, is that you need to, if you've got a man, you beat him.
Correct.
Or break square.
Yep.
You don't get worse than that.
No.
That's the key to the game.
Larky's an interesting one. So he kicked 42 goals last season, had a really good year. He's only got 21 so far this year, multiple goals on only 6 occasions from his 15 games. But the one thing that you have seen with him is, even when the ball hasn't been there, his effort has generally been there. But can they get him up the ground? Can they put him in a position just to get him a bit of confidence, get the ball in his hands, and then try and create something going forward?
Well, they tried Ben Mackay there to help him. But then you look up the other end, Taylor Walker goes and kicks 6 against them, and then Cameron and Hawkins go berserk, obviously, last week. So it's like...
And then they drop Josh Walker.
Get Ben Mackay straight back in defence, which will happen today. But he's sort of been he's left to his own devices in a way. I think Larky Coleman Jones comes back in, he'll be some level of help to him. But you're spot on. He's still a youngish key forward. 42 goals last year was a terrific effort, Sellers, but it's hard work now.
No, let me say this to you. This has happened to everyone who's played this game. You're in a spot sometime when you are a dark spot where you go, I don't know what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
And that's when you need help. And you need it from your friends and your mates and all those sorts of things. I don't think they can win, okay? And everyone on this ground knows that. Blind Freddie could tell you that one. But the other side of it is improvement's the most important thing we can get out of them, and that's what we want to see.
Collingwood are an interesting one in the sense that they're quite a different attack. So North Melbourne have got the big one focal point in Larky and then Zerha sort of running shotgun, but Collingwood have got Myercheck, they've got Cameron, they've got Cox going through there, they've got Henry who's turned himself into a real player.
Ginnivan's a goal
has
kicker.
been brilliant.
Elliott's a goal kicker. They've got
spread,
options.
Yeah, the spread that they've got's quite the contrast to the way North seem to run with Larky as the focal point.
Yeah, but they're a side challenging for the top 8 and challenging for the top 4. And I think that we saw them against Adelaide early in the year, and I thought to myself, gee whiz, they're playing an interesting brand. Remember that game?
Yeah, it was a boring game out here.
It was a boring game, but they played an interesting brand trying to get through the middle, and the other side were trying to stop them all the time. So to me, I thought, they're trying to do stuff, but now they're actually perfecting it a little bit better.
Yep. You could see, I called a practice game they played in Morwell against Hawthorn. It was a 6-quarter game, and the main team played the first 3 quarters of that, and that was back in March or February. You could see it straight away that there's with this shift to be more of a territory team, a quicker team, get away from that kick mark situation.
That's happened because if you remember the previous seasons, when they've won the ball back in their defensive half of the ground, they've been slow.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's go. Come on, we've got to go, because what was happening is that's all fine to try to do that, but on occasion you've got to turn it over, and if you turn it over in your back half, it goes back the other way and it's a goal, and it's game over too quick. So your comment about territory is exactly right. They're now, hey, let's get it as far away from their goals as we possibly can, and we'll work out the rest when we get it forward.
And you've spoken about Freo. Freo are a little bit the same in that they're a forward half turnover team, so that's where they generate so much of their stoppage. So it's clearly a reasonably successful method to just get a young team on the same page.
I think it's a very good.
I think it's a
very
brilliant.
Good. Get it away from your goals.
Get it away from your goals.
Work on it from there on. Okay?
It seems pretty simple, doesn't it? If it's not near the goal you're defending, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but the simple things are the best.
Yep.
It's a cool day in Melbourne, around 12 degrees. There is a little bit of sun trying to poke through, and for the Roos, it's a rare trip to the MCG, their first game since round 1. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson to call the action. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure are your experts. The final member sitting in the front row this afternoon is Lauren Borden. Lauren, welcome to you. How's it painting in terms of the picture down there at ground level?
Hello, Clinchy. Well, the temperature-wise, it's not too bad actually down here at the moment. It's nice to have a little bit of blue sky peeking through the clouds. It might be a little bit of rain set for the G later on. Jack Zeeble in his return game just won the toss, so North Melbourne will be kicking towards the city end of the ground. The surface was pretty slippery, though, from the earlier rain, so we could see a bit of slipping and sliding throughout the match, especially in the first quarter. Tyler Brown will be the sub for Collingwood, so the 4th time he'll have that job today, and then Jack Marnie will be at the back of the bench for North Melbourne as the Medi sub. Thanks,
Lauren. Looking forward to your contributions throughout the afternoon. What sort of number are you thinking today? Can anyone predict an upset?
Well, no, but I would love to see North Melbourne be within 6 goals. I think that's probably the break even in my mind. Yep. I think others will think 50 plus points is break even, but 6 goals, then it allows them still to be in the game coming to that last quarter.
What you said was right, Rama. You've got to test them. You've got to put them on players who are better than them and see how they have to work and all that sort of stuff. And if I see that, that's enough for me, because that starts the fire.
That's a win.
That starts the fire going straight away. If you can beat your man, you win.
Just seeing a shot of the North Melbourne coaches box, and Jeff Walsh is in there in the back right corner. So do your work while you're under supervision, which can't be an easy thing to try and do.
A knife in his hand?
Wow. Pull up. Wow. You can pick in the box as to which side sometimes people can go for, can't you? Well, let's hope the Roos give us their best. It's round 17 of the AFL. Collingwood looking to take another significant step towards their final push. It would be a 7th win on the trot. And North Melbourne, it's about trying to restore some pride, something to build on, and to try and push past their one win so far in season 2022. On Grandstand AFL and ABC Sport to get us underway, here's Joel Peterson.
Kellen Coleman-Jones, his first game since round 9. He starts into centre circle, opposed to the red-hot Darcy Cameron. North in the white shorts. Collingwood in there, mainly black as we set to go. Coleman Jones rises highest in ruck, lays the tackle on Cameron. The ball spills to Davies Uniacke, who pumps North Melbourne inside the 50 to the city end. Goldstein, the target, pulls it in. That's the start they wanted.
That's a beauty. Put him up forward, test him as a tall, test their defence because they don't have more there anymore. I think that's a really good move. And there he's rewarded them already with a great mark.
Yeah, and just a nice little bump from Nick Larkey just to keep Jeremy Howe out of that marking contest.
They conceded one in the first 12 seconds last week, and it spelled a sign of things to come, the Roos. Can Goldstein get one within the first minute here from 45 metres out? Left foot kick on the way. It's there. Maybe that's the spark that North needed. They get the first within the opening minute. One straight, the Pies yet to score.
Well, it was terrific. Straight out of the centre square into an open forward line. A great big contested mark by one of their more experienced older players in Todd Goldstein. Then he finishes. So you look at the enthusiasm around Goldstein when he kicked that goal. The players are all there tapping him on the back, gets the crowd involved early in this game from a North Melbourne sense. Now, let's see if now they can capitalise with a couple of more through that enthusiasm.
Adam Romanascus with you on ABC Sports. So 12 goals, 2 for Todd Goldstein. It felt like an important kick. And one of 3 players 30 years or older able to set the tone for North Melbourne. A shallow bounce from Alani Guftas, who's going to be recalled.
The centre circle has been relayed, so it looks like there's a lot of sand in there at the moment.
Sure does. So thrown up as Coleman Jones and Cameron do battle. Free kick for a contact over the shoulder, and Taylor Adams takes the free kick, kicks Collingwood inside 50. And working back is Young, who takes the mark for the Roos. Looks into the corridor, kicks forwards Greenwood, up against Pendlebury, brought it down, got the hand pass to Davies Uniacke, forward to Simpkin, through the middle of the MCG, kick smothered. Great work for the Pies through Maynard. It ricochets to Elliott. Got the hand pass over the top to Lipinski. To Cox. Dragged down as Greenwood laid the tackle. Still a chance for the Pies. As the hand pass from Adams comes to McCreary, to Josh Dacos. Left forward pocket, steadies, and we're all square. A goal apiece through the opening 2.5 minutes. And what a season Josh Dacos is having with the arrival of his brother Nick. Able to get forward and finish there with great class. His 10th goal this season. And scores a level, a goal apiece.
You thought that the North Melbourne would get out of that way, but then a little fumble, and all of a sudden Josh Dacos comes on the screen, and with real pace, good hands out of the centre of the ground. They move it around. There's a battle here, another knockover. They fumble it, and then Josh Dacos comes around the side and just finishes it off with real pace. I love the way he runs and the way he finished. I saw him practising those kicks as he came in before the game started. He finished it off beautifully.
You love it. Braden Maynard coming off his man to affect that smother in the middle of the ground. Gets the ball back, going back Collingwood's way. Very underrated player Maynard.
3 last week for Josh Dacos. 7 coaches' votes. Bright start for him here today. Out of the middle, Elliott tried to wrench it clear. Greenwood got it moving the other way for North. Handball to Anderson. Anderson kicks to full forward. Collingwood with the numbers. It'll skid out the back past Murphy. In the wrestle was Maynard. It'll be thrown in left forward pocket deep inside the Roos attacking 50.
Had to hit up Spicer there on that short little lead. Got a couple of metres on Quaynor. Just straight over his head.
3.5 gone in the opening term. Goal apiece. Coleman Jones and Cameron in ruck. Cameron for the Pies, knocked it down. Zeeble came flying in over the top of the pack. Picked up by Rusco. Handball to side bottom. Spirals one out off a standing start on the left boot. Gains some good territory. Taylor's there for North Melbourne. Handball to Young. A nervous moment. Under pressure in the middle of the ground. Pies take back possession. Swinging the kick forward was Crisp. Taken away by Bonner. Now Stevenson. He's caught in trouble. Umpire waves play on. Crisp goes through again. He's buffeted off the footy. Young tries to pick it up. Now Greenwood for North Melbourne. He's dragged down in the tackle. And a ball up on the outer wing in the sunshine.
It's good to see a lot of blue and white here.
Their attack on the ball has been good, North Melbourne, to start proceedings. Cameron wins down the tap against Coleman Jones. Coleman Jones gives him a shove. Can't get the clearance as Pendlebury's over the top of the footy. And the umpire will ball it up in the same position. A goal apiece coming through Goldstein and Josh Dacos through the opening 2 minutes. Quick kick towards the top of the 50 for North Melbourne. Spicer's there. with support. Zerha squeezes a bouncing kick inside 50. Zeebel's there, gathers, needs support, trying to get the hand pass to Scott, who went over the top of Baynor. And no whistle, so a throw in inside the forward 50 for the Roos.
Gee. He got his legs taken out there.
Among all that, Bailey Scott might have landed on a pigeon that was on the ground. Just intervening.
That was a very poor decision too.
From the pigeon or the umpire?
No, taking his legs out. That's a dangerous thing to do.
Ball thrown back in. Zerha, he's dispossessed. Picked up by Noble inside the D50 for the Pies. Sweeps a looping handball away to Murphy, who exits toward the members' side looking for McCreary. Reaching over the top was Taylor to knock it down. Mackay took it. He's tackled, caught holding the ball. Bo McCreary, described by Craig McRae earlier in the season as a wrecking ball. And he caused all kinds of chaos in the life of Ben Mackay there. He's got it just behind the wing. Scores tied through 6 minutes.
Veers out to the right, long towards Mason Cox and Core. Cox almost pulled in the one-handed mark. Pendlebury front and centre. Knocked it into the corridor. Adams attacked it hard, as did McDonald. A chance for the Roos. Stevenson spiralling kick in the middle of the ground. It's not well directed. And Trey Roscoe diving forward takes the mark for Collingwood. Out to Hoskin Elliott, right half forward. Has side bottom running pass, wants to give the hand pass. Corralled by Stevenson against his former side. Inside 50, spots up Jamie Elliott. It's going to give him about a 7 out of 10, Jaden Stevenson, and then all of a sudden it just opened up and side bottom was able to spot up Elliott.
You can't let side bottom come back inside there. No. Got to keep pushing him to the boundary, push him over the boundary. It's a beautiful kick of the ball, side bottom.
How much of a better side does Collingwood look when Jamie Elliott's firing? He's not going to have the shot on goal. Puts it towards Cameron. Almost pulled it down on the second grab. Simpkin for North Melbourne to Stevenson. Kick smothered by Ginnivan. Not sure he even intended to smother it. And he's taken over the shoulder and will get a shot on goal. Just trying to redeem himself by applying the physical pressure, and unfortunately got Jack Ginnivan over the shoulder. And you can see the frustration from Jaden Stevenson.
Well, his effort on side bottom was just average, I would have thought. He need to push him to the boundary, not let him come back inside. And he didn't do that.
Just the 8 disposals against the Gold Coast Suns last week was relatively quiet. We know what an X factor he can be, especially on Anzac Day. Jack Ginnivan comes in from 35 metres out and kicks through Collingwood's second. And they take the lead by that straight kick. 2 straight 12 to North Melbourne, 1 straight 6. 8 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport. You're with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
So that's goal 27 now for Ginnivan in 2022. So it's a terrific return. Terrific return from a young man that, what's he played? He played 5 games, I think it was 5 games last year. So
Yep.
Okay, to come in and improve the way he is, okay. He's a live wire. He's got the peroxide blonde hair, but to get now 27 goals out of this young man, it's a terrific return.
Off the rookie list out of Castlemaine and the Strathfield Say Storm, and he's becoming either a cult hero or quite the opposite, depending on which side of the fence you sit.
2 a game's a big score.
Yeah.
He's good value either way, no doubt about that. Out of the middle, here come North Melbourne. Powell, a high kick inside the 50. Zerha enters stage left and pulls it in. Clutches it to his chest, 45 metres out, coming over the top of the pack.
He tacked that footy there, Zerha. Loved it. He just only eyes for it. Maynard was right there with him, but attacked it hard.
He's going to have to kick it every bit of 50 here, Cam Zerha. Goals in each of his last 9 appearances in the blue and white. From just outside the arc, strikes it with the right boot. That's a terrific finish. And he pumps the fist and turns around to the crowd as he ties the scores after 9 minutes. 2 straight 12 apiece, Collingwood and North Melbourne. On Grandstand AFL, with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
What a great start. 2 goals each to both the sides. The ball's going up and down the ground really swiftly. Zuhar jump into that mark was superb. He really did it with purpose. That was the key. And he took a great mark there. He's a bull, and he can really run and he can do all those sorts of things. But that leap and that kick was just fantastic.
Makes them a pretty dangerous forward line with Goldstein or Coleman Jones, who's starting at full forward here. Zerha, Larkey.
Just looks better balanced.
It does.
With that extra tall.
So scores level after 10 minutes here at the MCG. And Josh Carmichael on for his first minutes inside the centre square here at the MCG. Goldstein and Cameron. Goldstein one down the tap. A chance for Powell, who gets the hand pass away. In two minds, Goldstein where to go. Back to Powell, now to Stevenson. Fends off Ginnivan, made it work to Greenwood through traffic. Just got it to half forward. Simpkin gets it on to Taylor from 45. Got it! Some great work done on the goal line, which allowed it to clear Quaynor. And all of a sudden, the Roos with a couple of quick goals, and they lead by that goal. 3 straight 18 to Collingwood, 2 straight 12. 11 minutes gone, opening term.
It just seems, Sellers, there's some energy
about
good. North Melbourne. Or, you know, it wasn't pretty there by any stretch. Now, the previous weeks, that ball would have been turned over and up the other end, but they kept working it. They kept hunting the ball. You know, it hits the ground. Attack the ball by Simpkin. The handball to Taylor's below his knees. Taylor's good enough to grab it, steady himself, kick the goal. But I just like the enthusiasm. I like the pressure. You know, I like more players around the ball for North.
And the support. Another man turns up, and that's exactly what happened.
Luca on the SMS. Blow the siren. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
John Noble's on the bench. I think he might want the siren to be blown as well. He's not avoiding Jeff Walsh. He's normally down here. Pretty happy with his start. Nice, satisfied nod as they go forward again.
Yeah, Nate Davies-Uniacke rips it away from the stoppage. Kicks a high footy inside the forward 50. In the forward pocket here, Spicer just had a fumble as he tried to collect inside the boundary line. 45 out. It'll be tossed back in.
North Melbourne clearances 6-3.
So North
6-3. That's big.
North with 3 goals here in the opening term. They kicked 2 goals, 1 after quarter time last week against Geelong. They've certainly found a bit of attacking mojo early. From the stoppage, Carmichael's first kick on debut for the Pies goes up to the wing, and Myercheck got rid of Mackay, picks it up, kicks to a 2-on-1 favouring North Melbourne. And the mark's pulled in by Luke McDonald, a timely intervention across half-back for the Roos.
Comes into the middle, finds Greenwood, hand pass to Perez, running off half-back, awkward kick towards half-forward, coming out Zeeble, made the contact with Murphy, Collingwood through Quaynor, gathers on half-back. Hand pass to Josh Dacos, back inside the defensive 50. Murphy looks up the members' wing. McCreary is target. Perez got a hand late to spoil it down. McCreary regathers, back to Josh Dacos, to Carmichael. Under pressure, he's gone. Good tackle, Curtis got him. And North take it back at right half forward.
Is this North Melbourne?
It's a different North Melbourne.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Here's Curtis on the left boot. Turns it over. Murphy takes the mark, floating back. Signed a 2-year extension during the week, Paul Curtis. Take him through to 2025 in Roos colours. Promising young forward out of the Melton South Panthers. Dacos went kicking for Lipinski there. He dropped it under pressure from Zurhar inside the forward 50 for the Roos. Quaynor slides past it. Collingwood regather again. Murphy curls it outside the defensive 50. Davies-Uniacke paid the mark. Yes, right on the edge of the arc for the Roos.
Looks towards the top of the goal square. Larkey comes out on the lead. He's brought down by Murphy illegally.
See, when you attack the ball with this sort of ferocity that they have done so far, the umpires have to give free kicks. The opposition grapple and they grab, especially in those areas there. And North Melbourne are showing a clean pair of heels here at the moment. They're at the contest, numbers there. They're outnumbering. They're doing everything right. And hopefully they can get another goal.
He's only about 10 metres out, but on a tight angle in the right forward pocket. First kick of the afternoon coming up for Nick Larkey. He pokes at it and steers it through. And the Roos skip to a 12-point advantage. 4 straight 24 to Collingwood, 2 straight 12. We played 14 minutes in the opening term on ABC Sport.
So inside 50s here is 9-2. North Melbourne, 9-2. Have they seen that for a while? No, they haven't. But I tell you what, Collingwood would want to pick their game up because they're getting spanked at the moment, completely spanked in all areas. They've moved the ball well. They've scored 4 goals to 2. They've made a few little mistakes, the Kangaroos, but gee whiz, we expect that. Everyone does that. But they're in front, and they should be proud of themselves.
North fans will like what they're seeing through the early stages. Joel Peterson and Matt Clinch calling it for you on Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas, Mark McClure, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary. David Harris gets set to thump it down in the middle to restart play. Cox and Goldstein this time in ruck. Textbook roving from Adams. Kicks inside the 50 for the Pies at the feet of Ginnivan. Spills through the pack. Cause there for North Melbourne. Handball to McDonald. Slips the tackle. Runs through the back pocket. Delivers calmly to Scott. One of the inclusions for North this week. Goes to Anderson, who's been deployed in a defensive role. He comes now into the centre of the ground. Good kick. Coleman Jones marks on the chest.
Feeds the hand pass to Young, who looks up to half forward. Zeeble on the lead. If Dacos can't close it down. He has it right up. In fact, it was Maynard. He kicked it straight into him, Zeeble. Trying to move it too quickly. It spills to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to Quaynor. Long kick towards Henry. Cleverly used his boot to volley it towards Josh Dacos. That might work. Hand pass to Lipinski. To Carmichael through traffic. Hand pass back to Josh Dacos. Up to Ollie Henry. Sliding on his knees. Marks 2 kicks out from goal.
Out at left half forward, comes back inside to Nick Dacos. Now kicks to the pocket, and all alone is Brody Myercheck. Cannot give him that kind of space, and he's marked 35 out, 5 in from the boundary in the left forward pocket. Having another terrific year is Myercheck. He's kicked 29 goals, 17 on the season. He starts his approach from just behind the paint of the 50 here. North with the last 3 in the game. Myercheck curls it around the body, leaves it a little bit narrow. The first minor score between the two sides. Collingwood trail by 11 points, 2-1. The Roos 4 straight through 16 and a half of the opening term.
He might be right at this half-time score.
Stevenson brings North back into play, and Paul Curtis with a nice mark on the back of Myercheck. He turns it over though.
Might have an apology there.
And John Noble takes the mark. Has it left half forward for Collingwood. Veers out to the right. Sends the Magpies deep into attack. Cox is there. Goldstein gets a fist to it. Spills down to Curtis off the outside of the boot. Kicks it straight back to Noble. He'll reload for Collingwood.
One orange boot, one blue boot for John Nobles. An interesting look. It's effective. He goes to Adams. Adams pokes it inside the 50. Elliott can't mark. Powell applies the pressure for North Melbourne. Picked up by Anderson. A handball to the boundary line looking for Bonner. Did he walk it across? Umpire said no, and then Core was tackled across. A little bit of help from Ollie Henry. And a ball in, 35 out from the Collingwood goal underneath the Olympic stand. Roos by 11 points, kicked the first. The Pies kicked the next 2. North with the following 3 in the game. 17 and a half gone in the opening term. Ball spun back into play. Powell takes it on the bounce. Handball to Davies-Uniacke. Blasted up the centre of the ground, and Zeeble, arms outstretched, takes the mark next to the centre circles, but has nothing to go to inside the 50. Handball sideways to Anderson. Back to Zeeble. Now looks for Larkey. 2-on-1 numbers with Collingwood. Murphy, a nervous moment in defence for the Pies. But working it out is Maynard. A handball to Howe. Long kick outside the defensive 50.
Davies-Uniacke underneath it. Had it spoiled away by Cox. Down to McCreary, who's away. Runs the members wing. Takes the bounce. Perez can't keep up with him. Great kick to Ginnivan. He lost Bonner and led through the corridor. He takes the mark on his chest. 40 metres out from goal.
Good work by Ginnivan coming back towards the ball carrier. There was a lot of space there. He took his opponent with him, and all of a sudden he lost him. Turned around, just front on. Easy chest mark. And he's going to try and kick a sidewinder, I think, is he?
He thought about it and he's changed his mind.
You never change your mind. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
So only slightly left of centre. A chance to kick his second and Collingwood's third. Jack Ginnivan comes
Changed
in,
his
kicks
mind.
it off the instep, and he did. Dragged it out to the left, and Aidan Bonner's let him know about it. Ginnivan fell down in the process. It's a 10-point lead North Melbourne's way.
Got to trust your gut, Sellers. He did it last week, a little bit of both. Couple around the corner one round the corner from directly in front almost, and a couple of drop punts among his 3. Stevenson kicks in long for North Melbourne. Josh Dacos takes it off the pack. Handball to Pendlebury to Noble, taken high. Lazaro a little bit overzealous in the tackle.
Some players are experts at dropping their knees. He may be one of them.
John Noble, he's got the free kick and the football, 65 from home. Kicks a high footy to centre. It's a full forward. Cox went down among the pack, but Mackay's going to be paid the mark, is he? He will be. Pies fans don't like that at fullback. Ben Mackay, in his more usual, more customary role of defence, goes to Davies-Uniacke, looks outside the defensive 50. Good defence from Rusco. Got across to thump it away from Simpkin, and a ball in right half forward for the Pies. They trail by 10. We tick toward time on in the opening term.
Inside 50s, 13-12. North Melbourne's way, so some positive starts for the Roos, especially on the scoreboard. Elliott picks it up from the throw-in. Bumped as he got his kick. Inside 50, Mackay underneath. Can't take the mark. Bonner, did he get over the shoulder of Kinnaman?
No.
Throw it in, says the umpire. Punt road end. About 30 metres around from Collingwood's goal. It's North Melbourne leading by 10 points. The Roos with the last 3 goals of the match. Toss back in. Myercheck doing the ruck work. Coleman Jones down to Stevenson. Lost his footing. Simpkin tries to support. Powell's kick didn't clear. Carmichael hard against the boundary. Hand pass to Pendlebury looking for an option. Gave it to McCreary. Kicks to the pocket. It didn't work for Elliott. And Ben Mackay able to take a comfortable mark on the last line of defence.
Doesn't see a lot that he likes as he surveys the field. Rolls around into the left back pocket, kicks outside the defensive 50. Rusco was up, almost pulled in a good mark. Murphy at his feet. Spicer went through the pack and lost it for North Melbourne. Larkey took it. His handball cut off by Nick Dacos. Kicks the Pies inside the forward 50. Elliott thought he was held. Umpire disagreed. The Collingwood fans disagree with that disagreement. Ball will be tossed back in right forward pocket for the Pies. Coleman Jones setting himself against Myercheck this time. North with the last 3 goals in the game, lead by 10 points. Slapped out of ruck by Cameron Orr. Through the pack comes Pendlebury, and Ginnivan's going to waltz into an open goal. Could have raffled it with Henry. The stoppage work from the Pies, and there's a bit on in the aftermath as Ginnivan and Stevenson exchange words. And I'm thinking it's not tips on how to dye your hair blonde, Sellers.
Well, I've got none.
4 points the margin. The Roos still ahead. The Pies 3-2 and North 4 straight.
Well, look, terrific play by Collingwood at the stoppage there. So they had Ginnivan in the goal square. Oh, it's just a poor handball by Bonner. Pendlebury just was a thief in the night there. Just intercepted that ball and off it went. But you know what? I don't mind that from Stevenson. At least he's sort of in there, Sellers, having a little bit of a crack and having a wrestle and showing a bit of care.
You know what? He picked on someone he can beat.
Yeah, maybe. But even if it was somebody bigger, it's still good to just show that. Show that a little bit.
I agree. They're going pretty well, North. They've surprised us, haven't they? Really,
yeah, they have. Their pressure's been terrific this quarter.
Very good.
Playing in defence, Jaden Stevenson alongside Bo McCreary.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Teach him how to man up.
6-6-6 warning against North Melbourne. Coleman Jones wins down the tap. Straight to Adams of Collingwood. Hand pass to Chris. Kicks inside 50. Here's Cameron. Surely did enough to, if not claim the mark. He pushed in the back. And he will get the shot on goal. And undersized Young just pushed him right in the middle of the back. And the umpire eventually saw that. In fact, it was Ben Mackay who gave away the free kick. And
I like their move that they play their ruckman at full forward. Yeah. They're hard to handle in that area. Yeah. They're tall, they're hard to get round, and I think Melbourne should start to do a bit of that with Gawn in the future because they need a change up there.
Darcy Cameron with 12 goals, 5 so far this season. Really thriving in the absence of Brodie Grundy. Playing in the ruck and pushing forward with Mason Cox. Here's a chance to put Collingwood back in front from just inside 50. Good strike off the boot. Has it cleared Bonner on the goal line? We're going to go upstairs.
I think we are.
A good vertical leap from Aidan Bonner right there, trying to make sure he touched it the right side. Hang on, the all clear's been given. It may still get checked as the ball makes its way back to the middle, but a quick conference between field umpire and goal umpire, and the all clear's been given. So Collingwood back in front by 2 points, 4-2-26 to North Melbourne, 4 straight 24. Breaks a 3-goal run for North Melbourne as we just get a look on the replay here.
I can't see it on this angle.
No.
Oh, they just declared it.
Yeah, I think it's
declared. Live, it didn't look... I mean, we're a long way. It didn't look like it was all that close. It looked like it had carried the line and Bonner had the arm outstretched behind his head. But it's not often you see the goal umpire not make a decision and then it doesn't go upstairs.
Yeah. Well, it did go upstairs and they probably verified it.
They've ticked it off in no time at all. Good that it's taken no time at all. Roos out of the middle here through Davies-Uniacke. Handball to Anderson from the restart inside the forward 50. Zeeble crashes the pack. 30 out from the north goal. Curtis dives on top of it. He's dived upon by Noble. Ball spills loose. Zerha wrestles it free. Adams wrenches him down in a tackle. You'd expect nothing less from the Pies vice-captain. He forces a ball up inside the forward 50. North trail by 2 points. They've only led at quarter time once since round 4. Free kick in the ruck, coming the way of the Roos. And it'll be big Todd Goldstein, who started things off in the opening minute, who's got a shot from 35 out.
Mason Cox thought it was his.
They all do, don't they, Ruckman?
Yeah.
It had to be mine. I didn't see the actual incident, did you?
So Goldstein already has a goal here in this term. His left foot kick is away to the left, and maybe some justice for the Pies fans, at least in their minds. So 1 point ball game, Pies ahead, 4-2 plays 4-1, 26 gone, opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, that was a very poor attempt from 30 metres out.
Nick Dacos looks to bring Collingwood back into play. 3 of his last 4 games have been over 30 disposals for the favourite for the Rising Star, and that's a great kick. Spotted Scott Penderbury and just pulled his kick to find him on half-back. Puts it out into the path of Josh Dacos, who doesn't have to break stride. Takes the bounce as he runs the members wing. Up towards Elliott. He's got the mismatch on Goldstein, and he takes the mark. Looks inboard. Mason Cox up with one arm. Can't take the mark. It gets to the back. Uniman's onto it. Hand pass back to Josh Dacos on 50. Long ball to the goal mouth. Cameron's there. Goldstein gets back. Provides good support for Ben Mackay, and it trickles out of play in the right forward pocket for Collingwood.
It's actually hard to miss a 7-foot guy.
You would have thought so. To kick it over his head is a good effort.
Did that. Yeah. It's good movement by the Pies, though. Very, very crisp from half-back to inside their forward 50.
Can they manufacture something at the stoppage again inside the 50, Collingwood? Simpkin takes it off the contest when looking for Davies-Uniacke by hand. He drags down, or he's dragged down by Elliott, and we'll have a ball up. Sunshine maybe across a third of the MCG out on that Shane Warne stand wing. Up they go again. Cameron this time slaps it out of ruck. Simpkins there for North Melbourne in a bit of space. Extracts the football with a long kick to half-back. Great mark, Taylor. Had front spot on Josh Dacos. Got held and took the mark, falling to the turf. Then he 9-irons one down the members' wing to Zeeble. Has to stand under it, but latches onto it eventually. He pokes his pass now for Lockie Young. There's 2 kicks from home for North Melbourne out at right half forward. Enters the 50 with a long kick. Curtis with a big fly. Can't pull it in. Nick Dacos out the back. Handball forward to Noble.
Well
that
done.
was awkward. Anderson bumped him in the air.
Nothing wrong with it.
Very awkward fall for Noble, and then he crashed into Rusco. They go over the boundary line and a throw in inside forward 50 for the Roos.
I like a bit of aggression. Keep it in there.
Well, no, Jed Anderson doesn't lack that aggression.
Thrown back in. Cox tries to knock it out of the ruck forward. A chance of Spicer of North. Needing to get around Mason Cox.
Can't beat them all.
Around Nick Dacos, but not McCreary. And then Noble ran into a dead end. He's ragdolled. And a good tackle from Young. It forces a stoppage at right half forward for North.
Gee whiz.
The intent from North has been impressive. As Cox works it down to Josh Dacos, he runs the wing, takes a bounce, half back for the Pies, over the head of Elliott. Mackay runs onto it for North. Good clean pickup. Hand pass to McDonald in front of the North Melbourne bench. Looks at options in the corridor, none present. Good kick down the line, just found Taylor, despite the late effort from Nick Dacos.
Played every game for the year so far this year, every game for the season. Curtis Taylor only missed once since round 5 last season. Drops on the boot inside the forward 50. Cox stands tall and intercepts for the Pies. Coleman Jones was bearing down on him but came from a long way too far back. And the big bespectacled ruckman kicks outside the defensive 50 for the Pies and puts it straight down the throat of Lockie Young. So it'll come straight back in here for the Roos. They trail by a point through 29 minutes of the opening term. Young looks to drive North Melbourne forward again. Larkey's coming in from the side here. Coleman Jones, 2 hands to it. The roving from Zurha. Now to Curtis on the right forward pocket. Kicks inboard, looking centrally. Smothered by Noble. His soccer off the ground only as far as Davies Uniacke. Steps through a couple. Hands off to Simpkin. Left foot kick around the body from Jai. Simpkin misses.
Good effort.
Left-hand side, it ties their best opening quarter of the season, North, at 4-2-26. It also ties the scores, nearing 30 minutes gone in the first.
Nick Dacos brings Collingwood back into play. Spots Mason Cox up with one arm. Couldn't take the mark. He was held by Goldstein. And we'll take the free kick at left half back for the Pies. Looks to switch play into the middle of the ground. It's an adventurous kick that spots Rusco. He looks up towards half forward. Ginnivan on the lead. It bounces in front of him and Perez. Ginnivan gathers, turns on his left, casually kicks it back towards Rusco. Can't pick it up. It's now sliding in Larkey. Rusco over the top of him. And the umpire will ball it up. No, Pay holding the ball. Larkey showing no intent to try and knock it out. He might claim he was cannon in too high, and Trey Rusco has it 60 metres out from home. Punt road end for the Magpies. Taking a while to patrol the options inside a rather crowded forward 50. Decides now to just put it towards the teeth of goal where Mason Cox is there. He flies in front pretty much uncontested. It spills to Josh Dacos. His scissor kick is smothered. And North lock it in 15 metres out from their defensive goal on the chest of Todd Goldstein.
So ball up. Cameron wrestles with Goldstein in ruck, or Crisp almost ran into the open goal. Henry on his back, flicks it up in the air, the kick.
He went to the ground again.
Yeah,
He went to ground again.
Ducks the head and it wasn't paid. That was good umpiring.
He does it all the time, and they all watch him now, and they all know.
They were hot on it. The ball goes out in the left forward pocket. Won't be earning any fans with that, Jack Ginnivan. So it'll be thrown back into play. Scores tied at 4-2. 31 and a half played opening term. Cameron knocks it down in ruck. Simpkin there for North Melbourne. McDonald tries to dribble it through his legs. Then he's tackled by Elliott. And the ball's locked up again, still 30 metres out from the Collingwood goal at the punt road end of the MCG.
Incredibly dangerous area. They need to hang on here, North. Get it to the boundary somehow.
The Roos have only won 4 opening quarters so far this season. They're level here. Lipinski lays the tackle. Nowhere for Simpkin to go. And the umpire will throw it up.
It's good stuff by North. They hung on. Been challenged.
Collingwood deep in attack. Cameron trying to work it down. Elliott collided with Lipinski, who gathered the footy. He was tackled in the process. Davies Uniacke locks him up. We'll do it all again, closing in on quarter time.
So round 1, round 2 and round 4 among those 4 first quarters North have won this season. It's been a while between drinks for them. Stevenson at the stoppage. Handball to Davies Uniacke. Here's Flynn Perez inside the defensive 50. Left foot kick out toward Curtis. Bouncing ball in front of Quainer. Left it behind. And they'll be saved by the bell, North Melbourne, at quarter time. Collingwood camped inside their 50 to end the opening term. An entertaining first term here at the G. North with the first goal within a minute. Collingwood kicked the next 2. The Roos bounced back with the following 3. And the Pies ended with the final 2 of the quarter. And scores tied after the first. 4-2-26 apiece. Goals for Collingwood in that opening term to Jack Ginnivan, who has a pair. Also to Josh Dacos and to Darcy Cameron. And for the Roos, their goals to Taylor, Larkey, Goldstein and Zurha.
So it's the third time in the last 5 weeks they've been able to kick 4 goals in the opening quarter. Now the challenge to try and back that up in the second term. Scores level here at the MCG on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Got a minute? Dip into StoryStream for quick, easy, real stories from across the country.
I was only 11. Apparently I was qualified to be the translator.
When you're part of a team, you do it because you love it.
Even now, I just get a little bit giggly thinking about it. Oh, it's just so exciting.
Continuous, skippable Australian stories. Exclusive to the ABC Listen app.
I was going to say something else then, but anyway. Bleep.
Look for StoryStream on the home screen of the ABC Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Coleman Jones rises highest in ruck, lays the tackle on Cameron. The ball spills to Davies Uniacke, who pumps North Melbourne inside the 50 to the city end. Goldstein, the target, pulls it in. Can Goldstein get one within the first minute here from 45 metres out? Left foot kick on the way. It's there.
Elliott got the hand pass over the top to Lipinski. The Cox dragged down as Greenwood laid the tackle. Still a chance for the Pies. There's the hand pass from Adams. Comes to McCreary to Josh Dacos. Left forward pocket steadies and we're all square. In two minds, Goldstein where to go. Back to Powell, now to Stevenson. Fends off Ginnivan, made it work to Greenwood through traffic. Just got it to half forward. Simpkin gets it on to Taylor from 45. Got it!
Slapped out of ruck by Cameron Orr. Through the pack comes Pendlebury, and Ginnivan's going to waltz into an open goal.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at the MCG, round 17 of the AFL, and scores are locked at 4-2-26 apiece. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson call the action. Mark McClure and Adam Romanascus are your experts.
Oh, well, look, it was much better by North Melbourne there. The pressure was up. They were trying to just take the ball forward at any opportunity they could. Inside forward 50, their players were flying for Mark Goldstein to start with, then Zerha. And it was encouraging. Collingwood were always going to have their moments within that quarter, which they did. But then you look at the end of that quarter, North Melbourne's defence just completely scrambling to try, not let Collingwood score. Try to keep the scoreboard as it was, it being a draw at quarter time. So, you do look for the little wins. There's no doubt about that. And North Melbourne, I think, will be happy with that quarter. But now the challenge moves to the second quarter for North Melbourne. What can they do? Can they start this second quarter the way they started the first quarter with, a goal out of the centre bounce, again, driving the ball forward? So the challenge is there. The Pies, it's an interesting one because when they do get the ball on the outside, they absolutely look a class above North Melbourne. The way they're able to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other, go inside their forward 50, hit a target. The challenge for Collingwood is going to be, they'll definitely match it in terms of the physical pressure with North Melbourne, but can they overwhelm them in the end? Because they overwhelm them through that contest, they'll be able to score, I think, quite easily. And that's, again, the flip side for the challenge for North Melbourne. How long can they hold the pressure?
The two biggest things they've got is the contested ball. They run that to 39-34. That gives you a good start when you think about it. The centre bounce clearance is 13 to 11. So they win that. They're the two big ones in the game if you continue to do that and get the ball in your forward line. 14 each for inside 50s. So they've levelled off on that area. So you walk off and you go, okay, that's a start. What are we going to do next? What's your next game? How are you going to handle this? Here's a couple of things you shouldn't do. This is little things, basic, simple footy things that they should be talking about. But their effort's been enormous, North. You're right about Collingwood. They look like they've got more class, but they're not getting any space.
No.
That's the point. And when you don't give them space, they can't work. So to me, this is a very interesting game of cat and mouse. See what happens with Collingwood, who do have more class. But gee whiz, are they going to try harder? Are they going to go harder than they can? Because North are really powering in. Numbers around the ball, love to see it. Love to see that. They just need a bit more class up forward. That's their big problem.
They kicked 4 goals, 3 in the opening quarter against the Gold Coast Suns back in round 12. That was their best start to a match. They didn't score in the second quarter. And they kicked 3 goals in the opening term against Geelong last week and 5 goals for the match. So while it's a positive start, now the challenge comes. And Luke Davies-Uniacke having another great first quarter, 11 disposals, 4 clearances, 3 of them centre bounce clearances, 3 tackles, 3 inside 50s, 3 intercept possessions and 3 score involvements.
Off 36 last week, which was the second best of his career. So he's in red hot form at the moment.
And Nick Dacos is the other one for Collingwood, who's controlled the ball beautifully, playing on a wing, doing a great job. 11 possessions, plenty of it.
They'd only won 2 quarters, North Melbourne, in their last 16. So it's not quite a win, but it is something to build on with scores locked at 26 apiece after the opening term. Fran from Melbourne on the SMS, 0437774774. Pie supporter, loving the call. I'm thinking we're a shoe-in today. Just waiting until the fat lady sins. Although we did lose against West Coast, so that says it all. And Stuart says, we Collingwood don't win enough centre clearances. That's something that has to be fixed. Into the second quarter we go. Goldstein beautifully won down the tap. Got it to Anderson. The hand pass to Davies-Uniacke. Another disposal. High kick inside 50. Flying was Murphy. Got it down against Larkey. And Maynard picks it up for Collingwood. Kicks out to the southern wing. Jamie Elliott on a long lead. He marks on his chest in front of Young. Looks to come inboard to Adams. He still has it between wing and half back. Now looks further afield. Tries to spot up Carmichael. Can't quite get it to him. And McDonald takes the intercepting mark for North Melbourne. Into the middle of the ground for Powell to Larkey. Wanted to come Members side. Now gives the hand pass away to Powell, who squeezed the kick inside 50. Siebel got rid of Quaynor, turns on goal, and the North Melbourne captains kicked it. Isaac Quaynor would want that moment back, but Jack Siebel was able to read it best. He fired it on goal and didn't miss his opportunity. North Melbourne back in front by 6 points. A minute gone, second term, 5-2-32 to the Pies, 5-2-26.
And you'll find that goal came at the 46-second mark. I reckon Todd Goldstein in the first quarter was at the 46-second mark. So good. That's terrific by North Melbourne. You know, through the middle of the ground there, they give the handball receive to get the ball flowing. Yep, Quaynor may have made a mistake, but I thought it was because of the scrappy ball that came in.
It was a scrappy
You either make a decision to attack the ball or stay with your opponent. Now, Quaynor made the decision to try to attack the ball. The ball gets behind him. Siebel turns onto that right foot and kicks an easy goal.
Officially, Rama, that was 49 seconds. And the Goldstein goal was 48.
Oh.
You made a mistake, Rama.
Yeah, I did. I'm not happy with myself.
Stopwatch is just a little bit out, but it does illustrate the point. They've been fast starters in both of these terms. Have the Roos. Davies Uniacke again in the thick of it in the middle. Shrugs the Cox tackle. Got rid of it somehow to Simpkin, who got it to Goldstein. He's taken by Chris. Threw it on the boot.
Kicked it.
Straight into traffic.
Where is it?
Carmichael's in there. It's among the mess in the middle of the ground. David Harris rushes in to cross the chest and ball it up. Cox and Goldstein reunite acquaintances. Carmichael lays another good tackle. Then Davies Uniacke wrapped up by Adams. This time it is coming out, and it's coming out through a Collingwood free. Adams to take it from just behind the centre circles.
Looks to get around Davies Uniacke. Hand pass to the run of Maynard. A bounce through the middle of the MCG. Long inside 50. Looking for the corridor. Elliott gathers. Tackle by Young. Has to try and knock it clear now on the bottom of the pack with Stevenson over the top of him, and the umpire will throw it up 35 metres out from Collingwood's goal at the city end.
So Adams will pick up Uniacke, I tell you now. This will be added because he's at 11 so far, and they want to knock him over.
Cameron knocks it down for Collingwood towards Carmichael, can't pick it up. Henry just hand passes forward towards the goal mouth. Mackay's there for North, gathers, hand pass to Bonner, to Core in the right back pocket. Takes a bounce as he looks at options. Goes short in the end to right half back. Yeah, the mark is taken by Powell.
I think you got to keep running there, Gaiden Core. Just take the space in front of you. Get it right out of the danger zone.
The aggressive kick was good. Finds Goldstein inside the corridor. He rolls around. Handball inboard now to Stevenson, who provides a bit of dash for the Roos. Goes inside the 50. Larkey stretches and pulls it in.
Super mark.
Coming sideways at the ball. Got the arms out in front. And avoided the clutches of Braden Maynard to pull it in 48 metres out, as good as directly in front.
I love the centre corridor when they used it.
Goldstein.
Absolutely, use it. Don't have to go to the boundary. There's the kicking and the ball movement and taking it on is really good by North.
Been starved of opportunity so much this season, Nick Larkey. A stuttering approach from 51 metres out. Low kick is on the way, and it's straight enough. He's got two, and the Roos fast starters rolled on into their second term. They're 6 goals, 238. The Pies 4-2-26. 4 minutes gone in the second. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, Larkey was a recipient of the mark up there, which was an easy one, okay? We got that part. But all the work was done from down back to use the centre of the ground, to take it on, push it through the middle, a mark and roll, mark and roll, mark and roll, and that's the key. It wasn't perfect. Nothing was perfect in this game. Never is. But Larkey's got it. And they're actually starting to feel like they can actually play now, North. When you look at them, they would have walked here and thought, oh, man, we're going to get smashed again. That's not happening. They just need to keep at it.
They've come with an intent which has to be admired.
Well, I think that intent, Clinchy, is to give the handball at first opportunity to do runners.
And to try and expose Collingwood through the corridor.
Yeah, correct.
Cox gives away the free kick, a hold on top. Goldstein's jumper. So North with another chance to go forward, trying to draw the opponent. Hand pass to Davies Uniac, who throws it on the boot. Long kick towards Larkey and Murphy. Murphy gets a spoil onto it. It spills to Josh Dacos. Got his hand pass away as he was tackled to Maynard. To Howe in the right back pocket. Wobbly kick up to half back. Cox slipped over. Goldstein went over as well. Picked up by McDonald. Kicks to left half forward, and Taylor takes the mark.
Was busy last week, Curtis Taylor. 60 metres out from goal at right or left half forward. Kicks to full forward. Curtis is up.
Kick.
Wonderful delivery. And Paul Curtis found a moment of space. He marks on a 45-degree angle, 20 out from the Roos goal.
Yeah, great kick.
Great kick.
It's a good lesson for Nick Dacos. It's all right to get the ball and a lot of the ball, but when it's your turn to defend, you've got to find a body or try and get a fist in. He looked all at sea there, the young man.
So Paul Curtis from Melton South, first year in the AFL, first game at the MCG this afternoon. From 25 metres out, veers left on the approach, but the kick straight. And the Roos have really come alive here at the MCG. 3 on the bounce here in this second term. They're out to an 18-point lead. 7-2 North. Collingwood 4-2 through 6.5 minutes of the second.
Well, it's a nice little gap now that they've sort of created here, the Kangaroos. But 22 possessions to 9 in this quarter, and it's the uncontested possessions. 16-5, inside 50s, 5-1 in this quarter. So it's been just a constant speed on the ball, I think, for North Melbourne in this to start this quarter that I've absolutely loved. It's been play on at every opportunity. Get the ball inside forward 50 at every opportunity. Give our forwards some sort of chance at every opportunity. It's good to watch.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. The Roos going at 92% kicking efficiency in this second quarter. They've been red hot. Cameron into the ruck against Goldstein. Got it down to Elliott. Slaps it on to Adams. Kicks towards 50. A chaos ball. Cox can't get onto the end of it. Mackay can. Tackled. Had to release it. Crisp tries to work it back to Adams. Brought down by Anderson. Great tackle. And Jed Anderson wins the footy back at half back for the Roos. Turns and kicks to left half back where Curtis has it. He looks up the wing.
That's a good kick too.
Good pass. Backpedaling. Young takes the mark. Just short of half forward. Trey Rusco just holds him up. He veers out to the right. Long inside 50 again. Coleman Jones in the pack. Up went Elliott.
What?
Jeremy Howe, should I say it was, who flew out, and in the end a free kick to Darcy Cameron, who shoved out of it. Collingwood would take it through Nick Dacos.
Now to Howe, now to Quainer. Who's such a good user by foot. That's no exception to Lipinski, who's played every game so far for the Pies. Cross seeking more opportunity. He certainly got that and made the most of it. Here's Elliott on the wing. He plays on by hand to the run of Dacos. Nick Dacos thumps it to half forward. Cox caught at the back, brought it down to the front to Hoskin Elliott. Now to side bottom as the Pies enter the 50. And now to Adams. Loops the handball infield. Hoskin Elliott dragged down. Didn't have it. No free.
No free.
Simpkin takes the advantage for North. To Mackay, to Scott. Pies fans not happy. And the Roos working out to Anderson at right half back. They lead by 18 points. 8.5 gone second term.
Good decision by the umpire. Play on.
It was.
Anderson kicks towards the lead of Larkey. Just couldn't quite juggle the mark. Lipinski for Collingwood.
There's the pressure.
Pass to Elliott immense.
Good stuff.
Towards Cameron. Knocked on by Young. A chance for Coleman Jones. Can't get down low enough. Quaynor picks it up to Dacos. A half volley. Lazaro wins it for North. Hand pass to Anderson. Works it to Simpkin. Can chip it inboard. Over Goldstein, and Luke McDonald has it. Plays on. Has to get around Myercheck. Into Core in the centre square. Now out to Taylor at left half forward.
So Taylor wants to move it on, goes inside the 50. Larkey had Murphy to deal with. A clearing fist from the Pies defender. Josh Dacos took it. Awkward handball inside the defensive 50 for Maynard. High kick along the line. Did Elliott pull it in millimetres inside the chalk? Umpire said yes, it's okay for the Pies. Now Rusco. Short pass to Josh Dacos. Handball play on as the Pies keep it moving. Elliott down the broadcast side wing. Kicks to half forward. Crisp sits under it. Was he paid the mark?
He would have.
Umpire said yes. Had enough of it. Certainly did Jack Crisp, having another terrific season. The All-Australian. He kicks to the pocket, looking for Ginnivan. Arms outstretched, can't pull it in. Bonner's there for North Melbourne in defence. Young goes through for the Roos. Adam crashes in for the Pies. It's taken by Greenwood in the back pocket. Handball to Bonner. Handball to Anderson for North Melbourne. Kicks long to the wing, looking for Zerha. Rusco draped across him, fists it away. Zerha goes back, picks up the ball. Now Josh Dacos takes it away for the Pies.
Good
and
chase.
Chris centres the 50.
That was a great chase.
Chase from Curtis affected the kick, landed in the lap of McDonald for the Roos.
He looks to switch play to the right back pocket where Scott takes the mark. Off with a dash as Hoskin Elliott made contact. As he got his kick away, it'll be a downfield free kick, although Lazaro took the mark. Kicks to Larky. He marks between wing and half forward. Murphy dragged him down.
Give that little handball.
Had the hand pass to Perez running past, ignored that, went longer towards Goldstein and Coleman Jones. Neither can take the mark. Nick Dacos swoops in front, gathers, hand pass to Howe, tackled, gets the hand pass forward to Sidebottom. Left back flank for the Pies,
well
trying to link up with Pendlebury. Hand pass picked off Barkey, dumped by Sidebottom, spills back to Pendlebury. Gets the hand pass to Howe, sends Collingwood up the southern wing. Cox is there, rises, can't take the mark. Hoskin Elliott didn't get a boot to it as he tried to get a kick away. Greenwood dragged down, hand pass out towards Simpkin. Tackled by Ginnivan, kicks it away, a chance still for
That's
the Roos.
tackle without the ball.
Pendlebury's tackle when he didn't have it. And Collingwood take it back in the middle of the MCG.
It's plenty fierce enough. 11 and a half gone second term. Roos with the only scoring here in this second term. 3 straight. As Pendlebury slows things down, everyone just takes a breather. Murphy, an awkward kick to Maynard. Maynard's got it between the wing and half-back for the Pies on the Shane Warne stand wing. Kicks long toward half-forward, and the only man there was Mackay for the Roos. He can send them forward to Young. Just inside the boundary line, those fluorescent yellow boots.
Just that Larky one. He took the mark. He had Perez flying through. They've been giving that handball all day. Just keep giving it.
Zerha drifted in to make a 2-on-1 for the Roos at half forward. He rolls around, kicks inside 50. Zeeble was up, brought it down. Larky, the step, one way, the other, puts it on the boot toward goal. And Josh Dacos plays goalkeeper and intercepts for the Pies.
Out to Crispin, looks up towards Mychek. At half back, he juggles the mark with Bonner right there and on his back, letting him know that there wasn't that much over him. Mychek's pushed him
Hang on.
made contact to the face.
Oh.
So Aiden Bonner's going to take it. He wants to play on. Hand pass to Davies Uniac. He just bangs it inside 50 again. Larky and Zerha both there. It spills to the front. Here's Simpkin around the body with the right boot. He misses to the right-hand side. Certainly brought the crowd into the match. Two sides playing breakneck footy. And it's the Roos who lead by 19.
Well, the Pies would call out for anything, I'm telling you now.
The umpire's always going to reverse that.
Of course.
He clearly pushed him in the face. The umpire's 5 metres away.
And it's actually right.
Yeah.
Nick Dacos took a bounce coming out from fullback, which was game in the slippery conditions. Long kick brought down by Coleman Jones to Greenwood. Handball to Davies Uniac. Back to Coleman Jones at half forward for the Roos. McCreary knocks it on into the centre of the ground. Stevenson chasing him. They both left it behind. Picked up by Young. Now Greenwood for North Melbourne. Underground hand pass inside the forward 50. It squirts out to Young. Back to Anderson. Back to Young inside the 50 for the Roos. Can't quite trap it. Sliding in his Carmichael on debut for the Pies. Zeeble took it away. Now Powell squaring kick to the edge of the 50. Coleman Jones standing start. 48 metres out to the behind line. Kept in by Goldstein. But it's pinched by Murphy for the Pies and he drops it into the bucket in front of Josh Dacos at half back.
He doesn't have a lot of options long down the wing, so waits for Quaynor to run into space and chips it out in front of him. Chance for everyone to take their breath. As Isaac Quaynor has it at right half back.
This has been a great game. High octane.
Just pokes a kick into the direction of Cameron and Cox, and Mason flies to the side and comes down with an impressive mark. And Aidan Corn might have just run through the mark and got away with one there.
Take your time, Mason.
Cox looks at options, sends it towards Cameron. Ollie Henry's there as well. In from the side, McDonald sport it down. Perez over the footy. Now McDonald once more as Hoskin Elliott slides in. Locks the ball in 40 metres out from Collingwood's goal at the city end. It's the Roos by 19 points. Yep, that's right. The Kangaroos by 19. 15 gone second term.
Pies haven't scored so far in this second term. Simpkin extricates it for North Melbourne at the stoppage. High up and under kick to half-back. Zerha had an almighty task to contend with, and the ball's taken by Pendlebury. Handball to Josh Dacos. Now to Noble. Noble, a centering kick to full forward. Great mark, Mackay.
That's what he's there for.
Don't put him up in the forward line. Keep Big Ben down in the back half for the Roos. An outstanding mark at full stretch. He delivers into the back pocket for Scott, who chips it barely the distance for Perez. 0-14 as a Kangaroo, Flynn Perez, still looking for his first win. That's not a great kick down the line. It's cut off by Howe, who looks inboard and finds Pendlebury for the Pies.
Looks into the corridor. Noble's on. He takes the mark. Did he take a step? Umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't play on. Davies Uniac was right there. Tough afternoon for the Noble family as John cuts his way through the middle. David, of course, coaching North, kicks towards half forward. Josh Dacos had it spoiled away. Lazaro gathers, gets the hand pass away. A chance for Curtis.
Great kick.
He kicks into the corner.
Inside, God.
Couldn't take it cleanly. Lost it between his legs. Noble tries to knock it in the middle. Greenwood back to Zeeble. A chance for Stevenson. He gathers the loose footy. Cuts past the tackle of McCreary. Kicks back inboard and Zeeble has it once more.
What can the skipper set up here? Goes short to the South Australian in Powell, right in the centre of the ground. North by 19 points. 16 gone second term. Powell enters the 50. There's no one within 30 metres of it for North. The easiest take for Jeremy Howe, who outlets to Hoskin Elliott on the wing. That was a strange option. That was a huge paddock of space with no one there. Hoskin Elliott's kick to Adams. He almost let it slip out of play. Loops the handball over the top to Pendlebury on the edge of the 50. Kicks under pressure to the pocket. Cameron up. Can't take the mark. Hoskin Elliott cruises past. Young does well in defence for North. Handball to Taylor. Goes looking for Curtis. Great diving mark. Pulls it in at half back. Does Paul Curtis. He's being absolutely sat upon by Rusco. He's going to eventually get up and take his kick from in front of the members.
Paul Curtis looks to chip a kick over the top to Taylor. He marks centre wing members side.
Control the ball.
Waits for option to present. Looking for Coleman Jones.
That's
back
another
with the fly.
poor kick.
Terrible kick. Turns it over and Maynard takes an easy mark. Inboard to Nick Dacos. Has Howe free at centre half back. Jumping on the spot with his arms in the air. That option dries up, turns back boundary side, finds John Noble.
Collingwood don't look that sure with the ball either, tell you the truth.
Just exposed at the moment by North's speed and their ability to punish them on the turnover. Short to Nick Dacos, wants to retreat back to Maynard. He marks in front of Powell and plays on. Opens up the space in front of him as Powell over-connected. Drives a long kick towards Henry. Good mark, McDonald. Nudged him underneath and was able to take a good contested mark. Luke McDonald 35 metres out from his defensive goal.
You like that aggression, though, from Maynard. Playing around with the football, short chip. Maynard gets it, plays on. Just give your forwards a chance.
McDonald to Young in the defensive goal square. Now to Stevenson, who hears a couple of jeers from the Collingwood fans. And Mackay's got it in the defensive 50 for the Roos. Exits to Curtis. He's got Zerha down the line. Looks him off. Directs a bit of traffic. Now has Simpkin in front of the interchange gates. Just kicks an absolute moonraker up the wing. Goldstein had Quaynor to beat. Couldn't take the mark, but brought it down. They feed it back by hand, the Roos, to Taylor. And again, it's a kick to really no one at half forward. That has been the Achilles heel for North in the last few minutes. And Pendlebury easily cuts it off at half back.
Collingwood with 11 to 8 intercept possessions as Howe's able to work this out to Lipinski, who kicks out to the southern wing. Side bottom uses his body well against Scott. He's able to gather, find a metre of space and chip it over the top to Adams. All the experience from Steele side bottom on display there. He gets it back from Adams, runs to 50, sidesteps Greenwood. Can he finish with a goal? It's right to the goal line, it's there! Steele side bottom winding back the clock to showcase some of his best. The 31-year-old dodging and weaving on the wing and then finishing the job himself. Collingwood finally have a goal in this second quarter. It took 19 minutes as the Roos had banged on 3 at the other end. North Melbourne's lead cut back to 13 points. 7-3-45 to Collingwood 5-2-32.
Took them a while, 20 minutes almost, to kick their first goal. Still side bottom with a an actual class player, one of the best you'll ever see, has been for some time. They fought hard, they just kept at it, they moved the ball, but when Seal Sidebottom just went round the mark the right way and he lost his opponent, it was all over. It was a beautiful kick. Well done, Steele.
Been good the last couple of weeks. 55 possessions in his 2 games coming into today. Important goal there. Joel Peterson and Matt Clinch calling for you at the MCG. Adam Ramanauskas, Mark McClure, your experts. Lauren Borden on the boundary for you on Grandstand AFL.
Do you reckon he's tucked it out after that effort? He's on the bench lying on his back, taking in the deep breaths.
You can only do so many of those when you're
contest.
31, Clinchy. Great contest it was in the middle of the ground. Some hard, tough stuff, and the Roos win it back after the Pies took it from the stoppage. Anderson to Young. Young inside the 50. Zurha the target. Murphy reaches across, knocks it down in the back pocket for the Pies. Good pressure from Zurha, locks the footy up.
That was absolutely outstanding by Lockie Young. He came off his direct opponent, laid a heavy bump on Chris. Ball spills out. He's able then to follow up, get it inside forward 50.
Goldstein rises highest in ruck, and he's going to be given a free kick here. Cox is apoplectic after the umpires paid it against him for a shepherd in the ruck.
He did.
He slapped his thighs in frustration.
He blocked his run, and that is determined to shepherd.
You're going to have to help me with that word,
How do you
Joel.
spell that?
Apoplectic. Is that right?
Apoplectic.
What's that mean?
Means you're not very happy, Sellers.
Okay. Why didn't you say that?
So Goldstein kicked the first of the game, missed one late in the first term, and kicks another here. And the Roos find the instant reply. The Pies fans not happy after the free kick. 8-3-51 North Melbourne. Collingwood 5-2-32, 21 and a half minutes gone second term. Before the thoughts of Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure, let's get downstairs to Lauren Borden.
It looks like this could actually be the biggest crowd North Melbourne's played in front of this year. There were 40,000 at Docklands against Carlton, and I think there's more than that in the G today, and you can see plenty of them wearing blue and white and happy with that effort.
APOPLECTIC. Overcome with anger, furious.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Corby's not bringing that. Thank you, Joel.
Been reading the dictionary.
Yeah. I'm sort of... I'm watching sport at night. You're reading the dictionary, Joel.
Don't have much going on in my life, Rammer, just quietly.
Welcome to the Saturday afternoon team. Joel Peterson alongside Matt Clinch, Adam Ramanauskas, Mark McClure and Lauren Borden down the boundary. Cox doing battle with Goldstein in the ruck battle. It spills to Crisp. Hand pass to Elliott. He just squeezed the kick towards Hoskin. Elliott, who runs away from Lazaro around the southern wing. Lace out, almost Carmichael. Couldn't take the mark. Bonner did well to spoil. Little toe poke inside the 50 into the left forward pocket from Pendlebury. Rolls out of play.
This is an exciting game.
That is.
The
it
ball
really
is moving up and down the ground beautifully. I love the way it's played.
And big hits by both teams.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's tackling hard, bumps. It's terrific to watch.
And if you're a footy supporter, turn up because it's brilliant.
Absolutely. Ball chucked back in. Bounced off the bonds of Pendlebury there as he ran past the contest. Simpkin picked it up, skies it outside. Offensive 50 to Zurha, who rides the elevator on the outer wing and pulls in a great mark. There's another little bit for you at the price of admission, Sellers. Come and watch that kind of thing from Cam Zurha.
How much does it cost to get in?
I've got no idea. Perez out at half-back. He chips it inboard to McDonald. But so far, this would have been worth every cent. Maybe a few Collingwood fans might argue with that, because Bonner switches it now for the Roos to Mackay. Measures the pass nicely.
That should be 50 metres. That should be a 50-metre penalty.
Myercheck dragged him down. Mackay picks himself up and shoots the kick to Taylor in front of the interchange gates.
4-1 North Melbourne's way in this second quarter. As Taylor works it forward to Jed Anderson. He marks between wing and half forward. In front of the North Melbourne bench, which no doubt would tell him just a couple of minutes ago till half-time. Kicks inside the 50. Lucky's there. Goldstein, the tallest of them all. Although Mason Cox is alongside him, so maybe just the most imposing of them all. And he marks in the left forward pocket. And what's this, a forced shot on goal?
He's been dangerous. Dangerous up forward. Taken 3 or 4 marks inside the forward 50. It's been terrific. He's missed a couple of shots, but this one he needs to nail.
So 2 goals, 1. As he starts outside the 50, left forward pocket. He'll kick from just inside 50. Todd Goldstein starts his approach, aims it at the left goalpost, and it drifts left. And a minor score. North Melbourne by 20 points at the 25-minute mark of the second term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Sport and ABC Sport Digital.
Howe enters for the Pies to Elliott. Direct the ball calmly by foot to side bottom, out to the outer wing where Hoskin Elliott marks just behind the AFL logo. He's got runners going past, comes diagonally infield to Adams, who's got Maynard on in the centre square. Didn't quite see him, would have been a dangerous kick. He kicks to half forward now for Cameron, who's in a 2-on-1 with the numbers not favouring him. Perez is there at their feet, takes it, handball to Lazaro. His man left it behind. Anderson lays a good tackle on Cameron at half-back for North Melbourne. It's locked up. Laney Gupta scoots in and says, I'll have it. Left half forward, Pies into attack. Just the one goal for them here in this second term. They trail by 20 points, 25 and a half played.
Goldstein wins down the tap. Nowhere to go for Simpkin. Tackled at Spills to Powell. Hand pass to Zeeble. Got the hand pass to the runner, Spicer. Kicks towards half forward. Zurha shoved underneath. And Howe takes the mark for Collingwood. Around the southern wing. Spots up Taylor Adams. He has it on the AFL logo out of side. Looks to come in more to the corridor. Sees his fellow midfielder Jack Crisp, who takes the mark. In front of Jed Anderson. Edge of the centre square. Looking to send Collingwood deep into attack at the city end. Dances around Anderson. Turns it over. Too cute. Looking
smart,
for Ginnivan, who is shoved out of it by Bonner. And Jack Zeeble takes the mark. Now, he's just trying to tell Ginnivan to stay on the protected
penalty
side.
for it.
And by making the umpire aware of that, he gets 50.
Yeah, flash of blonde hair is too flashy.
Sneak one here. There's 20 seconds remaining, so Zeeble gets this deep inside their forward 50.
Let's
give
go.
the forwards a chance.
He was awake to it. He went to Powell. Powell from 80 metres out, kicks to full forward. Larkey, the target, protected the drop, couldn't take the mark. First back there, though, tackled maybe high. Umpire says OK. And a ball up inside forward 50 for the Roos. They've kicked 4 goals here in this second term. 4-2 in the first, 4-2 in the second. Collingwood with only the 1 goal, and it's camped inside North Melbourne's attacking 50. Cameron slaps it out in ruck for the Pies. Dacos has got his head over it. And a tackle to end the first half. A brilliant first half for North Melbourne. 8 goals, 4 on the board for the Roos at half-time. Their previous best first half of the season came in round 2. They kicked 6 goals, 10 against West Coast in their only win of the year. And they lead by 20 points at the main change. 8-4-52 to Collingwood, 5-2-32 here at the MCG. Saturday afternoon football on Grandstand AFL. Todd Goldstein has 2 goals, 2 for the Roos, including the 150th goal of his career. Nick Larkey has 2, Curtis Taylor has 1, Jack Zeeble has 1, Paul Curtis has 1, and Cam Zurha, the goal kickers for North Melbourne. Jack Ginnivan's got a brace for the Pies, Josh Dacos, Darcy Cameron, and Steele Sidebottom, the other Collingwood goal kickers to half-time.
Well, where has this Kangaroo side been? Very entertaining to watch, leading Collingwood by 20 points at half-time. The thoughts of Adam Ramanaskas and Mark McClure.
Well, I think, Sellers, what North Melbourne have been doing in that half, just rolling the ball on, giving the handball at every opportunity, keeping speed going into this game, into their forward line, giving their forwards some sort of opportunity. They had 30 inside 50s for the half.
Amazing.
So that's terrific, absolutely terrific. Now, only 25 last week, as we discussed, so having 30 inside 50s, that's resulted in 12 scoring shots and 8 goals on the board. So there's the result of that there. The contested possession in that first half, they've smashed them. 59 to Collingwood, 75.
That's a big number.
It is. It's a big number. Plus 16 there in that category. The one part that I noticed about North Melbourne, as they've got into this game, particularly in that second quarter, their kicking efficiency in the second quarter went up to 85%. So you get that confidence of winning the ball around the contest. You get it out to those running players. We heard Geordie Russell talk to us before the game. We want 1 or 2 inside, then we want 3 or 4 outside to be able to try get it out, try get it to their runners.
You know, the other thing Jordan Russell said
they'll be leading at half time.
We apologise.
Yeah,
okay?
So he's absolutely right there. You flip this over on the other side, it's funny because what North Melbourne have done, they've hit Collingwood hard, and Collingwood haven't expected it. So it's now the second half becomes all about maturity for Collingwood. Can they first wrestle this lead back 20 points at half time? But they've got to find some ball movement. Because right at the moment, you look, Ben Mackay's dominating inside the defensive 50. He's had 7 intercept possessions, and probably 6 of those have been marked. So he's been like a brick wall down there. Davies Uniacke's had 17, Jai Simpkin 16, Jed Anderson 15. But Jed Anderson, he's added a toughness, and the ball's spilled out because Anderson's bashed in. So really, really good half by North Melbourne. Can they keep going? That's now. Well, have your rest, have a breath, then whip yourself up into a frenzy again, Sellers.
Someone told us they couldn't play. Well, they don't look like it today, I can tell you. Someone said, hey, listen, they're no good. Well, guess what? This side is trying to get into the top 3, top 4, Collingwood, trying to push into that area. They're getting flogged at this moment. They're actually getting numbers. Their actual numbers around the ball are noticeable in the blue and white. You can see it there, and I love all that sort of stuff. I love the way they've played. They've shared. I love the way they share and care for each other. All those little things that they do that we probably haven't seen before. But you know what? Let's hope we see them again, because they're 4 goals or 3 goals up or something at this stage. 20-odd points, is it? 20 points at this stage. It's just 3 and a bit goals. It's been a tremendous game of football. Ball's gone up and down the ground. There's no, the umpiring to me has been fantastic. I haven't seen a blue, but every Collingwood people see plenty of blues. But the other side of this is that I love what's happened, and we always like the underdog to jump up some stage and do something and perform, and all the things that you've talked about. I loved Davies Uniacke and Simpkin and Anderson and Zeeble and Powell. All those blokes, seriously, all their smalls have been terrific. Their numbers are enormous. Their intercept stuff's been good. I think that they couldn't have played a better style of football. Could you?
Best half of the season, no doubt.
No doubt in my life that that's the best half they've played. Hope they carry on, and I hope they finish them off. Tell you the truth.
Here was Jordan Russell's prediction before the game.
Are we going to see something different today?
You're going to see us in front at half-time.
What about after half-time?
Get in for the quoting numbers.
Very good.
Thanks to Annie on the SMS. Absolutely loving the game. Great call. Neil from Coburg also pointing out that would be goal 150 to Todd Goldstein. And Luca from Port. The pace and excitement coming through in the broadcast. So thanks so much for your correspondence. 0437 774 774. Still to come this afternoon, the Gold Coast Suns and Richmond. But for the moment, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Sarah Hall with ABC News. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has paid tribute to former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, describing him as a true leader and true friend of Australia. Current and former Australian political leaders have been expressing their sadness over Mr Abe's death and their admiration for his work. Tony Abbott described him as Japan's most significant post-war leader, while Kevin Rudd said the world was much diminished by his loss. Mr Albanese has spoken of the enduring legacy Shinzo Abe leaves in Japan and across the globe.
Mr Abe's life was one of consequence. He made a difference. He changed things for the better, not just in Japan, but in our region in particular, but also around the world. And that is, by any measure, a life truly well lived.
The body of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been taken to the capital, Tokyo. It comes a day after the 67-year-old, who was Japan's longest-serving leader, was assassinated at a political rally in the western city of Nara. His wife was seen lowering her head as the funeral hearse containing Mr Abe's body passed before a crowd of journalists. The Windsor Bridge has reopened northwest of Sydney 6 days after it was inundated by floods. With more, here's Isabel Rowe.
The Windsor Bridge is a major access road for people in the Hawkesbury River area northwest of Sydney. It was submerged for the 3rd time this year on Monday when the Hawkesbury River experienced its worst flood since 1978. Structural engineers gave the bridge the all clear this morning and cars are now allowed across. The North Richmond Bridge across the Hawkesbury is also open, but with a 15-tonne limit.
A man will face court today after a child was shot at a property in Sydney South. Nakari Thorpe is at the scene.
Emergency services were called to this address on Queen's Road in Connells Point at 6 p.m. after reports of multiple shots being fired. Paramedics treated the 9-year-old girl who's believed to have been shot in the hip. She was taken to Randwick Children's Hospital in a stable condition. 2 other children and a woman were also at the scene but were uninjured. Police have now arrested a 34-year-old man at nearby Oatley at 7 p.m. last night, where a torched car was also found. He was taken to St George Police Station and charged with 1 count of shoot with intent to murder.
Perth police are seeking information surrounding a violent incident at a youth centre last night where several teenagers were injured in a machete attack. Here's Ashley Davis with more.
Perth detectives say 5 teenagers were injured at a venue on Cambridge Street in West Leaderville. Some appear to have been struck by a machete, while others were hit with blunt weapons like a bat. It's believed around 20 people were involved in the fight. Police say as they arrived, 200 to 300 people were leaving the venue. 2 teenage boys were taken to Royal Perth Hospital. 1 is in a stable condition. Police are asking anyone with information on who was involved to contact Crime Stoppers.
WA has recorded just over 5,500 new cases of COVID-19. There are 11 deaths dating back to May the 30th, including 5 people in their 90s, 3 in their 80s, 1 in his 70s and 1 in his 50s. There are currently 252 people in hospital with the virus, including 8 in ICU. The state now has 33,139 active cases. US Vice President Kamala Harris is calling for Congress to act and says women shouldn't be deprived of their right to terminate a pregnancy. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order aimed at strengthening reproductive rights in the wake of the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the US Supreme Court. His order cannot restore access to abortion where strict limits or total bans have gone into effect, but is aimed at allowing women to travel interstate for the procedure. Speaking at a meeting of Democratic legislators, Ms. Harris has pleaded for states not to criminalise healthcare.
We have, I believe, 12 states in our country that right now will not even allow an exception for rape or incest. We have in our country states that are criminalising healthcare professionals for doing what they believe is in the best interest and the public health interest of their community.
And US actor Tony Sirico, best known for his role as a mafia henchman on The Sopranos, has died, aged 79. He portrayed Paulie Walnuts in the hit 2000s TV series. He also played gangsters in more than a dozen mob movies, including Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. This is ABC News.
If you love sport, we've got the podcast for you. ABC Sport Daily, it's your daily sports conversation.
So he took a massive pay cut. He was only paid $5,000 a year.
She's got firepower, she can win.
Like, are they high on their own supply or are they on a mission from a cricketing god?
He survived injury despite the fact that one of his rivals' cars actually landed on top of him.
You'll probably fail more often than you'll succeed.
ABC Sport Daily. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
When I'm 90.
Teenager's going to be riding hoverboards, probably.
When I am going to try and break a world record, I would get people to do all my work.
I'd want to be in a movie. The next Chris Hemsworth.
I would love to have at least 78 grandchildren.
At least 5 grandchildren.
What's the world going to look like? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know.
I reckon we'll still be best friends when we're 90.
Happy birthday, ABC.
Yours for 90 years.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Powell to Larkey. Wanted to come members side. Now gives the hand pass away to Powell, who squeezed the key inside 50. Siebel got rid of Quaynor, turns on goal, and the North Melbourne captains kicked it.
The aggressive kick was good, finds Goldstein inside the corridor. He rolls around, handball inboard now to Stevenson, who provides a bit of dash for the Roos. Goes inside the 50, Larkey stretches and pulls it in. A stuttering approach from 51 metres out. Low kick is on the way, and it's straight enough. Curtis Taylor, 60 metres out from goal at right or left half forward, kicks to full forward. Curtis is up.
Kick.
From 25 metres out, Veers left on the approach, but the kick straight.
Side bottom use his body well against Scott. He's able to gather, find a metre of space and chip it over the top to Adams. All the experience from Steele side bottom on display there. He gets it back from Adams, runs to 50, sidesteps Greenwood. Can he finish with a goal? It's right to the goal line, it's there!
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time at the MCG, it's North Melbourne leading by 20 points, 8-4-52 to the Pies, 5-2-32. It's certainly not what we expected to see, and it's been entertaining to say the least. Matt Clinch and Joel Peterson calling the action. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure are your experts, with Lauren Borden down on the boundary. Of course, after this match, we'll be taking you to the Gold Coast Suns taking on the Tigers, and then depending on where you are listening to us tonight, you'll either be listening to Port Adelaide in action against the Gold Coast Suns from the Adelaide Oval, or the Saints and the Dockers from Marvel Stadium. The other exciting news is ABC Sport will be broadcasting the men's final. So Wimbledon to keep you company in the early hours of Monday morning, and Nick Kyrgios in action against Novak Djokovic.
And what time would that be?
I knew you'd ask me that. Joel, what time will that be?
2 p.m.
Well, so I think the time difference is about 9 hours this time of year, so I think it's about 10 or 11.
I think it's later.
Is it?
Usually starts at 11 p.m.
So there's plenty of sport at the moment. So you've got the Tour de France, the F1's on this weekend in Austria.
There's plenty on.
The Scottish Open before the Open Championships next week in the golf world.
I should have backed around at 10 o'clock, spot on.
10 o'clock.
Is it 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
So we'll get to see at least the first couple of sets, and then if Nick can bring his best.
What time are you supposed to go to bed? What time your mum going to let you stay up till?
We normally have a Monday morning team meeting at 8 a.m. That might get cancelled. So for anyone who's...
Call it professional development, watching the tennis.
Correct. So a great opportunity to see how Nick Kyrgios goes, and if you're like me and you might struggle to stay awake, put on your radio. ABC Local Radio is going to have coverage of it in most capital cities, so you'll be able to listen to the dulcet sounds of Novak Djokovic taking on Nick Kyrgios, courtesy of our friends at the BBC.
And you know what? Nick's beat him twice in 2 encounters.
So it makes for an
Doesn't
interesting
mean
lead-in.
much.
He probably didn't think he would be there. We probably didn't think he would be there, which makes it all the more intriguing. Today in the NRL round 17, the West Tigers are in action against the Parramatta Eels. So that match isn't actually until later on tonight, of course, with State of Origin not too far away. So the reduced rounds once more. The Melbourne Storm got belted on Thursday night by the Sharks, 28 points to 6, and last night it was South Sydney Rabbitohs defeating the Newcastle Knights 40-28.
How much do you reckon Nick Kyrgios has paid in fines?
He would have donated a little bit along the journey, wouldn't he?
What do you think?
I would say... I'm going to say like 20 grand, but that wouldn't even be near enough, would it? How much?
Keep going.
Higher.
Just this tournament? Or
No, the whole time.
Oh, the whole time. A couple of hundred?
More?
$500,000.
More?
$1 million.
He's made 9.9 million or something in the whole thing, but I think he's given back 800 in fines. That's not a bad equation, really. Only 800 over 9 mil.
It's better than tax.
I think you've got to pay tax on it first and then give him the 8.
It also makes his claim that he's the best show in town and also doing his bit to contribute to the sport probably a little bit more legitimate.
He's a bad boy.
He is.
But he's no worse than what the American bloke. What was his name again? The bloke who's who's really good.
McEnroe.
Yeah, McEnroe. Mate, he was a nightmare.
Look, Kyrgios is his own person.
Gotta be kidding me.
Kyrgios is his own person.
I know that.
That's what he is.
You know.
He's gonna disrespect people, but I just don't think he really cares.
His legacy after this will be fascinating, though. Win or lose, especially through the walkover in the semi-final as well. That will be it'll be interesting to see the public perception of him now that he's actually been on the biggest stage and sort of fulfilled the promise, so to speak. If he can go on and win it, then the change in perception could be interesting.
And everyone's wanted to see the best of Nick for so long, and all of a sudden he wants to see the best of himself tomorrow night, which makes it intriguing. Of course, tonight the women's final, Ons Jabeur against Elena Rybakova.
Where's Ons Jabeur from?
Tunisia.
Tunisia.
So she's the first African woman to make a Wimbledon singles final. That's
incredible, isn't it?
Yep.
Good on her.
Absolutely.
There's good stories everywhere in the world of sport, and of course, the Tour de France to keep us awake at night as well.
Yeah.
The first summit finished last night to La Planche de Belfi, and Tadej Pogacar winning in the
and
yellow
the cricket's
jersey.
on tonight as well.
Cricket's on tonight, yeah.
Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne with
Steve Smith's
hundreds.
not out.
If you're like me, Sellers and Ram, you're watching the supercars across the course of the weekend. They're in Townsville, race 1 underway at the moment, about 10 laps into a 250k'er. Plenty to like.
So Australia 5 for 329 in the second test after winning the toss and electing to bat. Steve Smith on 128 and Alex Carey on 28 after 37 for Usman Khawaja, a century 104 for Marnus Labuschagne, and Travis Head picking up 12 and Cameron Green 4.
Must be super, the wicket.
Well, I did like some of the, the interviews that took place after the first test, where it was just the notion of score as many runs as you can, as quickly as you can, because you're going to get a ball that has your name on it, and you're going to get out to it, so you might as well try and cash in, and that did seem the difference between Australia and Sri Lanka and their mindset in the first test.
Well, as long as the test doesn't go 2.5 days, like the last one. Now, I need some form of entertainment early in the week.
Well, they like to play golf.
Yeah, correct. Yes, that's true.
What's wrong with going a little quick?
Righto, so I think we've covered just about anything and everything in terms of other sports taking place. If you didn't hear something you like, abc.net.au/sport is, of course, the website to find it all. And the ABC Sport Daily podcast with Patrick Stack covers some of the big talking points throughout the week. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts from at the best of ABC Sport. Collingwood have made their way back out on the MCG North Melbourne as well. So how long can the Roos continue to play this style of footy? And what would be the message from Craig McRae, knowing that this is going nowhere near the way in which the Pies planned?
Oh, they've got to be more daring, Collingwood. They've got to be much more daring, much more movement of the ball, quick, don't slow down, and try and put their opposition off, which they haven't done. It's been the opposite.
Yeah, look, I think it's up to North leaders early in this quarter to continue the rage.
Don't get scared.
Yeah, just you got to keep going now. North's young players, they've been good. Davies Uniac's been good. Lockie Young's been pretty good. Curtis Taylor's been good. Even Stevenson playing off half-back's been a bit of a change for him. So I've liked Curtis.
He's been great.
I've liked him. So
and I like Mackay.
Yeah, well, Mackay.
Playing down back.
Yeah, he's a little bit older. That's his spot. So there's 7 intercept possessions that he's had in that first half. He's been one of the better players on the ground, no doubt. But even Goldstein, probably the oldest player on the ground besides Pendlebury, I think's been terrific in that first half. 4 scoring shots, he kicks 2 goals. Look, Collingwood need to start winning this contest. Around the contest, 74 contested possessions to only 59. So if that continues, North will win this game.
Into the second half we go. North Melbourne leading by 20 points. Here's Joel Peterson on ABC Sport.
The opportunity's there in front of North Melbourne. Can they grasp it and get a second win on the board for season 2022? Coleman Jones is up in ruck. Lipinski slides in. Couldn't take clean possession. Simpkin for North Melbourne runs into Ginnivan, rides the bump. Cameron was in over the top of Young.
Got him high.
Paid by the out-of-the-zone umpire. And Lockie Young, who's had a good afternoon for the Roos, takes off by hand to McDonald, who pumps North inside the 50. Larky front spot, couldn't pull it in. Curtis goes to ground with the football in hand, flicks it out towards Spicer. Larky reverses his course inside the 50 for the Roos. Retreats by hand to Anderson, to Taylor. Wobbly kick into the pocket, who was touched on the way through, taken by Murphy. Big bump Anderson on no ball. He ran into him big time and brought him to a halt inside the forward 50 for the Roos.
Good intent.
I knew there'd be one with Miss Joel. The Wallabies, of course. So it's always one you forget. Cameron tries it over the ruck work, dribbles it forward to Maynard, who socks it towards half-back. Young wants the boundary line. Taps it away from Ginnivan, and a boundary throw in. Thanks so much for your correspondence. Paul from Yarrawonga. I'm 23 behind in the footy tipping, so I'm going for the roughies. Go Roo boys. Asking some questions about what improvement we're seeing from North Melbourne. Thanks from Pete in Darwin. We'll get Rama's thoughts on that in a moment. And Sellers, Coleman Jones takes it out of the ruck, kicks inside 50, Zurhar in front, spoiled away by Maynard. Spicer turns, kicks back inside the 50. Murphy courageously out, spoiled it away from Curtis. A chance for the Pies through Lipinski, who just couldn't clear Stevenson. He gets a hand down, knocked it to Scott, kicks back inside the 50 for the Roos. Lucky gets 2. He's taken the mark. What a battle. had to deal with Quaynor and Murphy and was able to take in the mark.
And Jeremy Howe. He might
Howe.
have got away with a little push in the back there, Larky, but that doesn't matter now. The umpire's paid it. So, again, to get off to this another fast start.
At 2-on-1,
Yeah,
he still beat
terrific.
Yeah, Murphy and Howe were the two he was competing against. Nick Larky for a third goal and to extend North Melbourne's lead. He finishes from about 30 metres out, slightly left of centre. And the Roos all of a sudden with the first goal, as they've done in each of the quarters, out to the biggest lead of the match, 26 points, 5-2-32 to the Roos 9-4-58.
And they continue on. Larky's kicked one in each quarter. That's what you're after. You don't have to kick 100. You get one each here and there and around the place. And Larky beat two people in the one spot. Tried to outmark him, and he got both of them. It was a brilliant effort. Well done, Larky. That's a great start. I'll tell you what, now Collingwood are starting to think, hang on, what's going on here? Where are we at? What are we doing? What are we doing wrong?
You know what?
That's exactly what they're thinking.
We've disrespected our opposition.
Correct.
And we're getting our right whack at the moment.
So the Roos have started the third term as they started the first two. Can they go on with it even more? Davies-Uniacke chases it away from the stoppage, paddles it forward, ricochets back to him as he lie on the turf. Was great hands to Goldstein, gave it away to Powell, to Anderson inside the 50 onto the chest of Larky. Where's this been all season? Say the North fans. Nick Larky's got it, 45 out, slide angle left of centre.
They're really doing a number on Collingwood with this contested football. You know, Anderson, Davies-Uniacke, just terrific through the middle of the ground.
So Larky will strike it from right on the arc. 3 to his name already. He watches it sail toward goal and it misses to the left. Margin 27 the way of North. 9-5 plays 5-2. 4 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFL.
Braden Maynard looks to bring Collingwood back into play. Out to the left back pocket as he charges forward and then pulls his kick towards Cameron. Mackay's up, spoils it down. Josh Dacos couldn't take it. Adams to Noble on half back. Back to Cameron. Kicks towards Mason Cox. Won't reach him and Jed Anderson takes the mark. All of a sudden Collingwood's ball movement has become stifled. And North are just attacking as Anderson has it. Looks wide towards Goldstein. Up with one arm. Can't take the mark. Spicer, great tack. Kicks inside 50. Up goes Chris. Good mark. Over the top of Paul Curtis and takes the mark for Collingwood. Switches to the right back pocket and Jeremy Howe has it.
He's off with a bounce. Back into the team this week after a stomach virus kept him out of last week's win over the Gold Coast Suns. To Lipinski, who flares it wide looking for Quaynor. Marks just inside the boundary line on the outer wing. Artificial lights ablaze here at the MCG on a gloomy Saturday afternoon. The Pies work it down the Shane Warnstand side bottom now to Hoskin Elliott, who's up between the wing and half forward, just in front of centre wing. Surveys the field, doesn't see a lot that immediately presents to him, so he kicks long to the edge of the 50 and Cox gets the jukes out and plunks it 49 from home.
Cannot make it.
Wants to lay it off, goes short off the instep to Adams. Only had a 7-metre pass, missed the target. Adams back in field. Pendlebury, a rare fumble, gave it up to Simpkin, who throws it on the boot into the centre of the ground. A bouncing ball. Curtis is up. Crisp slaps it the other way. Long kick inside the forward 50 for the Pies. Spinning through was Cameron, like a little fella. One of the biggest on the ground, shows his fleet of foot. A blind pirouette through the traffic and he rolls it home on the right boot with a dash of class. And Cameron kicks the first for the Pies in the second half and he's second of the day. 6-2-38 Collingwood. North Melbourne 9-5-59. Just the Pies' second goal since quarter time.
Oh, well, it certainly wasn't pretty, that goal. But that's Cameron's second now. Goldstein's got 2, so that sort of battles even itself out. Loved it by side bottom. Just a big kick off the ground, get it inside forward, just try to create something. You know, this try to be perfect passes is not working at the moment from Collingwood. They've got to scrap, they've got to fight to get back into this game. And yeah, just side bottom there, just off the ground, a 40-metre sort of just mongrel and just causes chaos, causes havoc inside Collingwood's forward line. They're able to score.
Darcy Cameron in his 6th season, the former Swan. Hasn't had a lot of the footy, but 2 goals next to his name alongside his ruck work. Back in the middle, Simpkin wins the clearance to North. Hand pass to Coleman Jones. Gets the hand pass to Perez off half-back. Inside 50, Larkey and Howe. Howe punches it down to the front. Bounce eludes Carmichael. Here's a chance to Lipinski over the footy. Greenwood over him. Umpire has a look and he'll ball it up. Inside the centre square, slightly North Melbourne's way.
Greenwood pulled it in on him. The umpire saw it clearly.
Kangas by 21 points. Coleman Jones down to Greenwood. Little soccer forward by Anderson. Noble has to deal with it. Gathers. Got around Lazaro. Kicks to halfback. The foot race is on. Hoskin, Elliott and Stevenson. Hoskin, Elliott got there first. Trying to tap it forward. Missed it. Stevenson slides in. Scott gets there to offer support. Has to side bottom. Tackle laid by Hoskin, Elliott. Locks it up. At left half forward for the Roos.
The endeavour certainly still there from North Melbourne. 21 points the margin, 7.5 gone, third term. Slapped out of the ruck by Cameron. Lipinski takes it. He's quickly tackled and a ball up.
He's been quiet, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Lipinski.
Cross half forward
possessions only
for the Roos. Nick Dacos through the traffic. Little stutter step before he gets it moving infield to Ginnivan. In the corridor, handball to Crisp. Left him wanting. And then he's almost turned it over, Jack Crisp. Went and got his own footy. That was really well done. Industrious stuff in the centre of the ground. Dribbles a kick toward half forward. Hoskin Elliott's got Stevenson cold. Just got boot to ball, did the Roos defender. And now it's back into the mess. Simpkin was clever through the traffic. Got it on the boot. Found Zeeble up on the wing.
Wants to move it quickly. Has Larkey and Lazaro there. Lazaro collision is coming from one direction.
That's no good.
And the other direction, there's a pie down in Howe. Still a chance for the Roos. Lazaro in the forward pocket, looking for Larkey. Getting a crucial hand was Maynard. Larkey picks it up, steps on his right, and he's kicked his third. A fourth goal for Nick Larkey. And plenty of the North Melbourne players coming to celebrate as the Collingwood players are all of a sudden showing great concern for Jeremy Howe, who is still down on the MCG turf.
Got his head up. That was ruthless. Unbelievable.
Back with the flight. Howe charging out front on, and they collided. I think there was some head contact there.
Well, I think Jeremy Howe, he's up.
He's up and going.
He's up and going.
Amazing.
Looks like he's going to stay out there. But it was amazing courage by Murphy. Amazing courage by Jeremy Howe.
But that's our game.
It's just...
That's almost crazy from Murphy.
That
was the flight.
Yeah.
No, it is. That's the game, and we don't like seeing it, but it happens.
Look, I think Jeremy Howe might have just had the stuffing taken out of him, because he landed flat on his back, so he looks absolutely fine. But geez, it was a big collision.
That was an absolute bell ringer and a bit of friendly fire.
Another clearance.
Take it out of the middle. Lipinski kicked it straight to Davies Uniacke, though, who skies it inside the 50. Larkey the target. There is Jeremy Howe. Back to his feet, flying over the pack to thump it away out of the North Melbourne hands. Adams puts a couple of steps on it, half-back. Now to Howe, almost got caught. Handball away to Quaynor, now to Josh Dacos. It opens up for the Pies. Dacos kicks long to half forward, looking for Henry. Well held by Core. Then the driving past was McCreary, got a soccer off the ground. Turned it over though, ball in the hands of Taylor at half-back for North Melbourne.
Looks up the wing, Larkey on the lead. He marks on his chest. 4 goals next to his name.
Big day.
Zerha at half forward and Zeeble inside 50. Wants to come in more. Taylor just takes the mark against McCreary. Squeezes a kick towards half forward. Greenwood was able to get rid of Adams, but the mark was taken by Darcy Cameron. Quick hand pass to Nick Dacos. Back to Cameron. To Lipinski. Through the middle of the MCG. Elliott on the lead. It won't get to him. As Mackay doubling back takes the mark in front of Myercheck. He goes short to Stevenson. And now to Simpkin at half-back.
Roos look corridor again. They lead by 27 points. 11 gone in the third term. Wonderful kick from Perez. He finds Goldstein between the wing and half forward. Goldie rolls around onto the left boot, sends it to full forward. Zerha stayed down. The fist from Murphy. Zerha chases after it. Murphy drags it across the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play. City end, North into attack. Scores tied at quarter time. The Roos with 4 goals 2 to 1 straight in the second term. They've added 2 goals here in the third to Collingwood's 1, and they lead by 27.
Biggest lead of the match, thrown back in. Goldstein thumps it down, straight to Maynard of Collingwood. Hand pass to Adams, who celebrates. Gave it to Carmichael, he's tackled, gets a hand pass forward, links up with Lipinski to McCreary, to Adams, through traffic to Nick Dacos. It opens up in front of him, kicks along towards Henry and Elliott. Elliott's got it. Takes the mark against McDonald. They had a 2-on-1 Collingwood. Jamie Elliott was able to claim the mark.
That's their best ball movement for a quarter and a half. They used it, and the speed of the Dacos boys and everyone else. Lipinski had a hold of it. Everyone had a touch and got it right in the middle. He should kick this comfortably.
Look at this. This is very interesting. The doctor's out with Nathan Murphy at the moment and telling him you're coming off the ground. You're having a concussion test.
Crucial kick for Elliott. He comes in directly in front, 35 metres out. And he's able to spark the response. Collingwood with their second goal of the term to draw level with North, who'll kick 2 as well. And the margin is back to 21 points North Melbourne's way. 10-5-65 to the Pies, 7-2-44. Jamie Elliott with his first.
Well, I'm sure Lauren is all over it down on the boundary, but I think Nathan Murphy's won this argument because he's not coming off the ground. The doctor is now talking on the bench down the bottom there. Lauren, just tell us what's happening.
Yeah, Jeremy Howe's also been pulled off at the moment. He was chatting to the doctor. Now the two doctors are talking to each other and just giving themselves a little bit of a look. One's got his arms crossed and just kind of saying Murphy's not coming off. So I think they're just working out what to do next.
No player wants to come off.
No, absolutely not.
That's the point. If you're told to come off, you should come off, but no player wants to.
The one upside is, watching the replay, the contact was sort of to the upper torso. They didn't actually make head-high contact with each other, but the landing was, ferocious.
Goal for goal here in this third term, 2 apiece. Greenwood tries to hack it out of the middle. Phoenix Spices up to meet it for the Roos. Noble's there with him for company. Just inside the centre square. Davis Uniacke's ripped off the footy. Noble goes back in, ball up. It's been the theme of the day. It's been fast, it's been physical.
It's been furious.
And if you're a North fan, it's been a bit of fun, Sellers.
Great. Oh, and everyone's having fun here. This is a great game.
Cox slaps it out. Powell took it. Davies Uniacke a couple of side steps inside the 50. Noble got rid of Spicer very easily indeed. Hands it off to Quainer, who goes looking at halfback. A searching kick, bounces past Hoskin Elliott. He's got support inside bottom. Draws the help, but the handball was over the boundary line. And it'll be thrown back in between the wing and halfback for the Pies on the outer side.
14 minutes gone, third term. North by 21 points. Toss back into play. Goldstein and Cox. Goldstein knocks it to the front. Adams had his arm pinned as he had to try and knock the ball clear. It spills off Greenwood. And then side bottom and goes out of play for a boundary throw in. Centre wing on the southern side. And the Shane Warne stand. The ball will be thrown in. Just short of half forward for the Kangaroos. Cox and Goldstein resume their battle. Cox in from the side, makes body contact, wins down the tap, straight to McDonald, who bounced into his own teammate Davies Uniacke. It spills out to Cox, who dribbles a kick up towards Henry. Good clean pick up, can't break away from Core initially, then he does, gets the hand pass to Carmichael, on to Boo, takes a bounce, gets the right half forward, looks inside 50, Myercheck, great kick. Leading through the corridor, he marks on his chest, 35 metres out directly in front.
The best thing he did there, not go back. He actually came back out to the middle of the ground, which is the Collingwood player really wanted to see. And it was an easy kick.
Well, it was a really good kick because he could have chipped it over. I think it was Hoskin Elliott who was running into space, but he was along the boundary. But to square it back up to Myercheck, it's a beautiful kick.
One behind next to his name so far for Brodie Myercheck. He comes in, steers it through the middle. The Pies close the gap to 15 points. 8-2-50, trailing North Melbourne 10-5-65. 16 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport. Brodie Myercheck with his first.
Well, he's an old-fashioned forward when you think about Myercheck. He's an old-fashioned centre forward who moves towards the ball carrier all the time. He's clever, he's smart, and it's the easiest kick for you. That kick back into the centre of the ground. It was 25, 30 metres out. Easy shot on goal. But it was all about the placement of the ball and the leading person who goes to him, which was Myercheck. He's smart.
Look at inside 50s in this quarter. 5-11 in North Melbourne's favour. But the last 2 goals now to Collingwood.
Thoughts of Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure with you on Grandstand AFL. John Peterson, Matt Clinch calling the action for you. Lauren Borden on the boundary. Cox in ruck for the Pies, decisively down. Taken by Davies Uniacke, clearance number 8 of the day for the Roos midfielder. Tumbles a kick to half forward. Zeeble slapped it intelligently in front of Spicer. And now it's fed back to Taylor, kick into the pocket. Little bit too hot for Curtis. Out of bounds on the full. It drifts. And it'll be taken by Rusco in defence for the Pies. He kicks aggressively up the middle to Crisp, who's got it just at the top of the defensive 50. Kick looking for Quainer, knocked down by Powell. Josh Dacos left it behind. Taken by Lazaro. Handball to Powell. Handball to Goldstein. Made him stretch. Awkward one back to Powell. Taken in the tackle as he got rid of it. Now Anderson for North Melbourne. Tumbles it inside the forward 50. Rusco will track it down inside the line, near where the boundary intersects the 50. Good decision making. Calmly leans it off to Jeremy Howe, who's got it on defensive 50 for the Pies.
He works it over the top to Crisp, who marks it left half back. Looks to try and move it forward quickly. Spots Carmichael. He marks on his chest. Veers out to the right. Smothered by Davies Uniacke. Did well. Carmichael tackled by Greenwood. Can't get a half pass away initially. Now he does. Pendlebury socking it forward. That was creative. Got it to Josh Dacos. Inside 50. Mason Cox is there. Bonner got a handle on it. McCreary running into the open goal. He's dragged down. It was a great effort. And Perez got him just as he was running in towards an open goal.
Oh, what a game.
He rolls out up against the right behind post. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Nathan Murphy's lost his battle with the doctors. He's had to come off. He's gone down into the rooms for a concussion test.
Ball tossed back in deep forward here for the Pies. Cox got the front spot, almost took it out of the ruck, then thought he was dragged down without it. Davies Uniacke slides in, last line dived on by McCreary. Umpire crosses the arms. The Pies fans baying for it.
But what's interesting, Jeremy Howe is back on the ground. So he's won the battle with the doctors.
Up they go at full forward for Collingwood. Pendlebury steps through the traffic. Handball along the boundary line to Ginnivan. Ducked the hand and they let it go, Sellers. They let it go and he's going to be pinged.
And good on it. Smart.
And now it's on. Greenwood's involved. Nick Dacos too. Ginnivan's still not up to his feet to release the football.
It should be a penalty.
The umpire wasn't buying the free kick and Davies Uniacke takes it away for North Melbourne and finds Perez by foot.
That brings the crowd to life. Perez has it in the back pocket, looks for options up the southern wing, long kick towards Coleman Jones from the side.
I think in that case, what the umpire is asking himself or herself, who's initiating the high contact? And undoubtedly is Ginnivan.
Around the back to Perez, kicks up towards Zerha, sport away from him. Carmichael stripped of it, good tackle Spicer. A chance for Larkey to Anderson, feeds the hand pass to Taylor, looking one direction, turns and kicks to the other, towards Zerha. Howe underneath it, can't take the mark, did make a good contest. Goldstein, hand pass to Zeeble, gets it to Greenwood, almost run down. Now the hand pass to Larkey, good vision, spots it up and Lazaro takes the mark just inside 50.
Good sharing. Use the person who's in the best spot. Don't ever ping yourself when it's not your turn. And they did it 3 or 4 times in a row there.
Charlie Lazaro, the second-year route, hit 36 in 2020. Hasn't kicked a goal so far this season from right on 50. Puts it to the teeth of goal. Goldstein's up. Larkey there as well. Can't mark. Zeeble jams. He's got it. Jack Zeeble with his second. And something out of nothing. The bigger frame body was just able to jam it through. And all of a sudden, after the Pies have kicked a couple on the trot, North are able to steady. A 21-point advantage, 11-5-71 to Collingwood, 8-2-50. 20 minutes gone, third term.
It's the difference in the kick sellers by Lazario. Rather than trying to get it over the goal, he realised, okay, I can't make this distance. So he puts it sort of 15 metres out. So Collingwood trying to spoil the ball. They can't spoil it through the goals to rush it. So it's in a really dangerous spot. Now, Zeeble, just a big body. He's been a bull for such a long time. He's able to carry the tackle.
He's been tackled by 2 players there, Rambo.
He has. Carry the tackle, get an arm free, get it onto the boot and kick a great goal.
Actually, we're starting to see some leadership here.
Yeah.
Now, you can just start to feel who the leaders are at North Melbourne now. We can see it.
They certainly won't go quietly, the Roos. Back in the middle, free kick coming to Anderson here, who was taken high by Lipinski. So Jed Anderson from the centre circles, rolls onto his left boot, kicks to full forward. Zerha, big fly, nowhere near it. And the mark taken by Maynard in defence for the Pies. Looks for Pendlebury, found him, neat kick, had to go up against two, did Scott Pendlebury. Pulls it in on the back point of the square. Roos by 21 points here in the third term. Pendlebury kicks into the centre of the ground. Simpkin knocked it away from Cameron for North Melbourne. Roos take possession again. Davies-Uniacke to Stevenson. Oh, he ran himself into trouble. Tried to be far too clever. Quainer caught him on the AFL logo outer side.
Comes inboard for Noble. He's got Pendlebury free. Takes him up between wing and half forward. Looking for Cox. Found him. Just beautifully weighted kick from Scott Pendlebury, knowing that Davies-Uniacke couldn't go back, and Mason Cox had the height.
Be interesting if Stevenson had joined the team at some stage. He had 3 or 4 chances to handball this to someone else, but I'm going to outrun them all, and got caught. Now that hurts.
Mason Cox with 2 goals, 6 so far this season. 7th disposal coming up and a chance to hit the scoreboard. He's pretty much directly in front, kicking from about 45 metres out. It's out to the left. Maybe just going for that little extra bit of distance. And it misses. The margin is 20 points North Melbourne's way at the 23-minute mark of the third term.
Core to bring it back in for the Roos. Comes straight up the middle to Davies-Uniacke. 7th disposal of the term. He in turn finds Anderson. Now to Young, who waltzes through the tackle of Pendlebury, darts it up toward Coleman. Jones couldn't take the marks. Ebel was out the back waiting for it. Back to Coleman. Jones to Larkey. Coast to coast for the Kangaroos. And Nick Larkey will line up 15 out directly in front for number 5.
Super ball movement.
He kicked 6 back in round 2, Nick Larkey. A career best 7 against Carlton last year. Coming into today, in 4 matches against Collingwood, he had kicked a total of 1 goal. He stands with the ball in his hands. His side 20 points up in this third term. Larkey waltzes in, and he's got a handful. And today for this Collingwood defence, he's proving quite the handful. 26-point lead North Melbourne at the 24-minute mark of the third term. Larkey's got 5. The Roos 12 goals 5 to the Pies 8 goals 3, 51.
And you look at the matchup. So it's Jeremy Howe and Larkey. So it's not the ideal matchup for Collingwood by no means, but they've got nobody else. Darcy Moore's out. Jordan Roughhead retires through the middle of the year. So even you look now, he's kicked 5. You'd be looking to change that matchup, but they simply can't. The Pies.
And you've got 9 disposals this quarter.
Yeah.
For a big man, that's
terrific,
huge.
Terrific quarter, and 3 goals.
That's the biggest part.
Yeah, it's 9 disposals for 3 goals for Larkey.
Adam Romanowskis and Mark McClure with you on ABC Sport. Roos back out by 26 points as belief continues to build. Cox wins down the tap, slapped away by Anderson, gets it to Davies-Uniacke, kicks out wide for Larkey on the lead. He runs onto it, Howe's got him, ball spills back to Larkey, hand pass to Zerha, left forward pocket, looks for options, decides to go himself and misses to the left-hand side. 27 points North Melbourne's lead. It's the game high equal which they had at the 9-minute mark of the third term.
So the Roos the Pies come long outside the defensive 50. Noble, Howe, he flicked that up. It'll be taken by Zerha, and it comes trampolining back inside the 50. Larkey's the target again. Can't mark that time. Maynard reads it nicely off the pack. Handball to Noble. Dinky kick to halfback, stolen by Davies-Uniacke for the Roos.
Had a game this kid, hasn't he?
He can reload again. The 4th pick in the draft of a few years ago. He is really coming to life in the back end of the year.
Yeah, 24 possessions, 13 of those contested. He's had 9 clearance, 7 centre bounce clearances, 9 inside 50s.
Might try his luck from out here, you know. He'll have to kick it from 54. Not a huge goal kicker, just 17 goals in his career. Loads up long to the line. Larkey almost got hands to it at the back. It's over the behind line for a minor score. Leader game high, 28 points the way of the Roos. 26 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFL.
Maynard into the back pocket for Quaynor. All of a sudden, Collingwood needs some sort of spark. Up to Elliott, spoiled by Perez, chopping of the arms. And Jamie Elliott will take it at left half back. Just had so many challenges with his body, Elliott, over the years. Just another 5 weeks with a shoulder injury this season. As at half-back, he goes short to Nick Dacos. Zeeble almost in the protected zone. Had to hand pass over the top to Maynard, to Quaynor, to Pendlebury through the middle of the ground, down low for Chris. All hard work for Collingwood. Break the tackle of Zerha, but turns it over.
Score here.
Taylor works the forward.
Hit it.
Lucky run down by Nick Dacos. Surely that's holding the footy. And the rookie Pye wins back the footy at half-back for Collingwood.
Good chasing tackle.
Took an eternity.
Didn't hear the footsteps whatsoever. Dacos goes short to Quaynor at half-back, the two running mates off the back flank for the Pies. Now to Maynard, loops the handball over the top to Josh Dacos, comes back up to the football. Offloads to Elliott, to half-forward, Cox almost with one hand, Scott falling, in fact, Mackay falling to the ground, pulls it in.
He had it in his hands.
The umpire says, I'll have it. Right on the paint of the 50 here, Collingwood in their attacking half. They trail by a game-high 28 points, 27.5 gone, third term here at the MCG. Lipinski at the stoppage, tries to spin through a couple of tackles. He's caught, and a ball up still on the paint of the 50.
27 minutes gone, third term. Roos by 28. Cox wins down the tap towards Elliott. Cuts through traffic. Hand pass to Pendlebury, looking for an option. Couldn't find one. Ran into Simpkin. Got the hand pass away. It comes to Mason Cox. To Pendlebury, who slaps it to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to a stationary Carmichael. Perez works him off it. Anderson can't take it. Lipinski back to Josh Dacos. Fumble. Stevenson lays the tackle. Collingwood through Pendlebury. Pokes it inside 50.
That was a Shepherd.
Carmichael takes the mark.
That was a Shepherd there to stop him coming in. Was it Mackay from coming in?
So Josh Carmichael has it deep in the left forward pocket. He's about 25 metres out, but just needs to think his way through on Deboo. Veers out to the right, snaps on the right and overcooks it. Too much curl as it misses to the left-hand side. Yeah, it's a 27-point lead North Melbourne's way. 29 minutes gone, third term.
The Roos bring it back into play. Through McDonald into the back pocket for Stevenson. He's hearing it from the Pies fans once more. Fair amount of them in here this afternoon as well. Stevenson kicks long up the members' side. Out toward the line. Sellers, eventually it is over. Cam Zerha runs it across right down in front of Lauren Borden for us on Grandstand AFL.
And down in front of me is Nathan Murphy as well on the bike, so he's passed the concussion test. Looks like Howe's body hit Murphy's head, which is why he had to go down, but Howe was allowed back on. But Murphy all good to go.
Thanks, Lauren. Cox and Coleman Jones. Neither ruckman got a tap to it. Cox has another go towards Lipinski. Josh Dacos run down. Elliott swoops in. Got it to Carmichael. Kicks towards Henry. Got rid of Bonner. Can't take the mark. Bonner drags him down. No whistles. It spills out in front of Cameron and Mackay for a throw in the left forward pocket.
It's a good result by Bonner because one-on-one.
Collingwood with 10 inside 50s in this quarter to North Melbourne's 20. As it's thrown back in, Goldstein and Cameron. Goldstein got it down to Davies-Uniacke, kicks into the middle of the ground. Cox will take the mark. Time might almost run out for Collingwood. He looks inside 50. Long ball towards Myercheck. It clears him. It bounces and bounces and goes through from behind. After the siren had sounded, but the play was still continuing. So a 26-point lead North Melbourne's way at three-quarter time. And the Kangas a chance to record their second win of the season. North Melbourne with 4-3 to Collingwood's 3-3 in that third term, with the Roos 12-7-79 leading Collingwood 8-10-53. For the Kangaroos, 5 goals to Nick Larkey, including 3 in that third term, 2 goals to Zeeble and to Goldstein, individuals to Taylor and to Curtis and Cam Zerha. Meanwhile, for Collingwood, their goals have come to 2 to Cameron, 2 to Ginnivan, individuals to Elliott, Dacos, that's Josh Dacos, Sidebottom and Myercheck. So North at 12-7-79 has already...
Nominations for your Australian of the Year
are now open.
It's time to reflect on your community
and who you admire.
It's time to show your respect
by nominating
and acknowledging them.
and it's time to celebrate
their story,
their contribution,
and their generosity.
I'm Hamish McDonald, and I'd love you to nominate an inspirational Australian who you think is worthy at australianoftheyear.org.au.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Murphy courageously out, spoiled it away from Curtis. A chance for the Pies through Lipinski, who just couldn't clear Stevenson. He gets a hand down, knocked it to Scott, kicks back inside the 50 for the Roos. Larkey gets two. He's taken the mark. Nick Larkey for a third goal and to extend North Melbourne's lead. He finishes from about 30 metres out.
Curtis is up. Crisp slaps it the other way. Long kick inside the forward 50 for the Pies. Spinning through was Cameron like a little fella. One of the biggest on the ground, shows his fleet of foot. A blind pirouette through the traffic, and he rolls it home on the right boot with a dash of class.
From right on 50, puts it to the teeth of goal. Goldstein's up. Larkey there as well. Can't mark. Zeeble jams on his foot. He's got it. Jack Zeeble with his second.
Anderson now to Young, who waltzes through the tackle of Pendlebury, darts it up toward Coleman Jones, couldn't take the mark. Zeeble was out the back waiting for it. Back to Coleman Jones to Larkey. Larkey waltzes in, and he's got a handful.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time of the MCG. North Melbourne leading by 26 points, 12-7-79 to the Pies 8-5-53. We'll try and work out who knocked out the foul cord. The good news is we're back loud and clear from the MCG. A thrilling final term to come. But in the meantime, Gold Coast taking on Richmond, your next stop at Carrara. Let's get a preview with Quentin Hull.
Clinchy, it's the picture postcard winter afternoon here on the Gold Coast for the Suns versus Richmond. There's plenty of people around as well. The Tigers do bring a lot of support and the Suns are up and about. It's been a week where Stuart Dew's future has been confirmed for the medium term, at least, signing a new deal which sees him through until the end of the 2024 season. But the warm and fuzzy feel of that announcement will mean little for this team fighting for its finals survival here at 7-8 and taking on a Tigers team who itself needs to continue to bank wins to ensure that it plays September football in what's just a stunning run to the finals in this 2022 season. There's some late team news for the Tigers. Jack Ross is out, so Thompson Dow is going to come into the Richmond team. For Gold Coast, there are no changes. The medical subs are Rory Atkins for Gold Coast and Noah Cumberland for Richmond. Of course, at selection, no Dustin Martin, Kane Lambert, Nick Floston, among others of that experienced Tigers group that we've seen really provide the benchmark over the last couple of seasons. But Dion Prestia does return after copping that much publicised heavy knock in the tight loss to Geelong, while for the Gold Coast Suns, a couple of COVID protocol issues. Isaac Rankin's not playing. He's been in great form the last couple of weeks. Oleg Markov also misses out in that regard against his old team. But as far as the conditions are concerned, Matt, we've got an absolutely gorgeous Saturday afternoon which is going to roll into the evening here. High stakes footy for both teams, with Gold Coast to host Richmond next up on Grandstand AFL at Carrara.
Thank you, Q. Looking forward to joining you after the completion of this game. Quentin Hull and Michael Price, Jason Ackermanis and Jeff White to be with you from Carrara. Three-quarter time here at the MCG. Players heading back out in position. It's North Melbourne by 26 points. Can they go on with it? Ramanaskas.
Well, if they replicate that third quarter, statistically it was a huge win by North Melbourne again. Contested possessions +3, clearances +6, centre bounces. Collingwood didn't have one. It was 7-0 in that category. Tackles L +12, inside 50s L +10. They win the quarter 4 goals to 3, and then they're comfortably ahead in this game. But the thing is now with North Melbourne, don't go into your shell. Continue to attack. Continue to roll the ball on. This is what got you in this position. If you go safe now, you're not skillful enough to go safe. Give your forwards a chance. Larky's got 5. He had a huge quarter. He had 10 possessions and 3 goals won in that third quarter. So continue to give him a chance.
At 20 inside 50s in that quarter.
Amazing
alone.
Quarter.
Again, we mentioned a couple of times, at 25 all of last week.
Yeah, correct.
112 points they lost by last week, the Roos. They are chasing their second win of the season. It's already their highest score of the year. They lead by 26 points as we start the final term. It's the Pies who take it out of the middle. Adams inside the 50. Elliott comes to chase it down. McDonald lays the tackle. Ball skittles out the back. Foot race is on. Hoskin Elliott soccers it forward. Almost got it into an open goal. But he was pushed as he kicked it toward the line. And it goes through for a minor score. Straight away, the first centre bounce clearance to Collingwood.
I'm sure Craig McRae mentioned that at three-quarter time. He needs his midfielders to have a huge quarter.
Oh, big fly from Howe off the kick-in. Simpkin takes it. He's tackled. He's in trouble. He's gone. Already a lift in intensity from the Pies. And it's this man, Taylor Adams, who's been chief among it all in the opening minute here in the final term. He enters the 50 with a high kick to fall forward. Cameron the target. Bonner a hand to it. Elliott stayed down, did the roving and kicked the goal on the left boot. Jamie Elliott with an early one for the Pies. Margin back to 19 points, a minute into the final term. North Melbourne 12-7-79, Collingwood 9-6-60.
Just a good kick by Taylor Adams, just to that teeth of the goal square. Get as many tools as you can. Jamie Elliott stays down, loses his direct opponent in the ruck there, and is able to kick his second goal. They just need to continue to roll the ball, Collingwood. Roll the ball on. Use aggressive ball movement for the entirety of this quarter. Taylor Adams has started this quarter really well.
So North Melbourne's lead is all of a sudden cut back to 19 points straight away. Just 2 minutes into the second quarter. Bounce back in the middle. Cameron and Goldstein. Cameron went early. Goldstein wins down the tap looking for Greenwood. He does it himself in the end. Socks it out to the southern wing. Noble runs onto it for Collingwood. Hat pass to Crisp. Hits the pedal to the floor. Kicks inside 50. Elliott on the lead again. Bonner's there. Spoils it away. And it rolls out in front of Ginnivan and Young for a boundary throw in. He is looking dangerous, Jamie Elliott. Collingwood pushing him all the way to the goal square. And fast and electric on the lead. Thrown back in on half forward for the Magpies. Goldstein sets himself against Cameron, trying to get rid of him physically. Taps it down, but straight to Adams. Squeeze the kick inside 50. It bounces towards Elliott. Ricochets to McCreary. He breaks the tackle of Stevenson. Kicks on the right, and that's 2 in 3 minutes. Hang on to your hats. Here come the Pies. Back to 13 points, North Melbourne's lead. 12-7-79 to Collingwood 10-6-66.
Yeah, but again, Taylor Adams is involved again there. Getting tackled to ground. Just get the ball forward. Just give your forwards a chance. McCreary there is able to brush the tackle of Stevenson to kick that goal, but it doesn't need to be pretty.
3 disposals, Taylor Adams. 3 score involvements, correct. 3 inside 50s.
Yeah, it's been terrific. Now it puts all the pressure back on North Melbourne. Now, 13 points still the margin, but they've touched the ball once this quarter. Only North Melbourne, and we're 3.5 minutes in. Collingwood have had 4 inside 50s.
And this Collingwood crowd is finding its voice. North led by 28 in that third term. And the Pies have dragged it back to 13 to start the last. In the middle again. This time it's Greenwood fighting for it for the Roos. Handball to Simpkin. The Davies-Uniacke just got the kick away with the oncoming McCreary providing pressure. And he found Curtis Taylor on the AFL logo members' side. He's called to go. Directs his kick toward half forward where he finds Tom Powell. He pops it over the top for Zurhaar. Had some air underneath it, but he's good enough to pull it in, Cam Zurhaar. Left half forward, 60 from home. Rolls around onto the right boot. Spears it inside the 50. Through the hands of Larkey. Zeeble out the back. Tackled by Noble. Did he get boot to ball? Umpire said it was okay. Cameron clears the danger for Collingwood. Perez punches it back toward the 50. Taylor's there. Powell's there for North Melbourne. Now Simpkin drops it into the pocket. Zeeble comes diving out. Oh, he should have been paid a miraculous mark. Handball to Coleman Jones. He throws it on the boot toward goal. Pack on the goal line. They fight for it again. Big tackle laid. And it's through for a behind among it all. Oh, the tempo's been up all day. It is maintained here in the start of the final term. Roos by 14 points after the rush behind.
Scott Pendlebury decides he'll bring the footy back in himself. He veers out to the right back pocket, kicks up to Cameron. Coleman Jones got a touch onto it. Perez for North Melbourne. Hand pass to Taylor, screws it back around his shoulder. City ball against two, and Jeremy Howe went early. Claimed the mark, not paid. Has to get a hand pass away to Nick Dacos. He skirts around the boundary, back inside the defensive 50. Hand pass to Pendlebury, back to Howe, too wide, and over the boundary line for a throw in. So North do lock it inside their forward, half forward. As the Pies trying to find a way out, but couldn't do so eventually. Kangaroos by 14 points. 5 minutes gone, third term. They pretty much led all afternoon since the opening stages of the first quarter. Goldstein takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass to Davies-Uniacke, kicks inside 50. Howe up underneath, takes the mark, despite the late pressure from Zerha.
Can't underestimate what it takes to, the steel it takes to stand under that high footy, given the clattering that he took in that third term with the collision with Nathan Murphy. Offloads to Quaino, now to Josh Dacos, kicks up the members' side wing. Cameron brought it down. McCreary got the block from Myercheck, and he's off and racing. 2 bounces past the members. Thought about a third, gets the full distance, enters the 50. Poor kick, but Bonner dropped it. Lipinski lays the tackle. Umpire says mine. Right forward pocket. Pies in attack, kicking to the City end. They've already nabbed a couple here in this final term. Margin 14 points, the Roos still ahead and hanging on for now.
Hayden Bonner battling with a cramp as it's thrown back up. Goldstein knocks it down. Elliott tried to break the tackle. Wasn't taken high, and the footy stuck underneath him. And Luke Davies-Uniacke over the top of him. Right forward pocket for the Magpies. 35 metres out from goal. Myercheck doing the ruck work against Goldstein. It bounces in front of the two. Lipinski screws it back into the corridor. Couple of North players compete against each other. Bonner tapped it down from Stevenson. Came the way of Pendlebury. Could have been taken high by Powell. Umpire didn't see it. And a ball up 45 metres out from Collingwood's goal.
Nice fans, certainly providing plenty of noise here at the MCG. 14 points the margin. Slapped out of ruck. Greenwood's there for the Roos. Dangerous little kick tumbles toward the Dacos brothers. Nick dives in, so too Josh. And it's going to be locked up. Curtis Taylor's on the bottom of it all for North Melbourne. Still inside the forward 50 for the Pies. Cameron drapes himself over the back of Goldstein in the ruck contest. Simpkin a clearing kick. Josh Dacos to Nick Dacos, tied up against the boundary line. Don't tell me! It brings the Collingwood fans to their feet around the MCG. The prodigal son in the famous number 35 kicks an absolute blinder from the boundary line. And the Pies are back within 8. 11-6, 72 to North Melbourne, 12-8, 80. 8 minutes gone, final term, and Nick Dacos showing all his wares.
Well, it was Josh Dacos to Nick Dacos. Now, Nick Dacos has got the 35 on his back, so we shouldn't be surprised that he's able to kick a goal from the boundary. It's the challenge now for North Melbourne is how they get momentum back into this quarter. It's 3 goals in 8 minutes now to the Pies. Inside 50s, 5-3, Collingwood's favour. Contested possessions, they're up. Clearances, they're up, Collingwood. It's a tough ask.
Simpkin gets a clearance for North. Ramos sends him towards half forward. Lazaro has to spoil behind Noble. Overrunning the footy was Zerha. A chance for Collingwood. Howe to Noble. To Josh Dacos. Comes in board for Crisp. Wanted to give the hand pass. Instead turns and kicks the centre half back. It's taken by Roscoe. Looks out to the southern side. Backpedaling his side bottom. He takes the mark. Wants to move it quickly. Gains an extra 5 or 10 metres. Now has to take a bounce. Edge of the centre square. Kicks inside 50. Too wide for Mason Cox. Inside again is Ben Mackay who takes the mark. He wants to quickly work it to half back as Scott can take it, but he dropped it. And under the pressure of Kinnaman, it goes out of play for a throw-in. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
And he's come on for North Melbourne. Jaden Stevenson's gone off, had a bit of a left leg injury, went down in the rooms. He's off, so Jack Marnie on as the sub for North Melbourne.
Thanks, Loz. Easy if you're in the footy record. Take number 2 out, put number 1 in at the top of the list. 8 points the margin, the way of the Roos. 9 minutes gone here in the final term. At the stoppage, it's Anderson for North Melbourne. Away to Simpkin. Kick up the outer side wing. Skittles the pack. Maynard's out there waiting for it. Intelligently knocks it back to Howe, who's the last link in the chain and darts the kick into the centre corridor. That was absolutely pinpoint to Pendlebury. He moves it on to full forward. Henry in front of the pack. Mackay drifting across, arms outstretched with a telling defensive mark. He's been outstanding back in his usual habitat today.
Sends it up to Anderson. Half pass to Simpkin. At half back for the Roos. Has Lazaro free on the members wing. Kicks off the outside of the boot. He takes it between wing and half forward. Looks inside 50. Coleman Jones running hard. The kick missed him. Maynard tries to knock it to Howe. Under immense pressure is pushed out of play by Zerha. And a boundary throw in 40 metres out from the Roos goal. North Melbourne by 8 points. They got out by 26 points in the third term. And Collingwood have come rattling back with the first 3 goals of the final term. Thrown back in. Cox in front position. Knocks it down. A chance for Nick Dacos. Can't take it. Anderson slides in for the Roos. It spills to Taylor. He's tackled. Lost it. Simpkin to Perez. Trying to link up with Powell. Little toe poke away from Pendlebury. Races after it. Well, the boundary line meets the 50. And Noble eventually sees it out of play for a throw-in.
This is good by North Melbourne. Just lock it in their forward half for a couple of minutes. Let your defenders have a bit of a break. Reset where they want to set up structurally.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on Grandstand AFL. Joel Peterson, Matt Clinch calling it for you. Lauren Borden on the boundary at the restart. There from the throw-in, it's Maynard who takes it off the pack. Found Myercheck. It was touched on the way through. They waved play on. He was dumped in a tackle by Greenwood. We'll have a ball up on the front point of the square for the Roos.
It's great awareness by Greenwood there.
He stayed with the play. Yeah. He was right there with it to lay the tackle. Cox reaches up in ruck, knocks it away from Coleman Jones. Adams involved again to soccer it forward for the Pies. Myercheck lays a big bump, forces the football loose. Perez gives it to Greenwood, gives it to Anderson by hand. Handball now to McDonald, to Taylor, who stepped inside, went one too many. McCreary caught him cold and wins a free kick for the Pies on the members' wing.
He's got to get the ball on the boot there, Curtis Taylor. Now you're trying to step through the smallest of gaps.
Collingwood through by McCreary. Has it at right half forward. Loads up with a long kick inside 50. Henry sets himself, almost claimed the mark. It clears to the back. Elliott's awake to it. Hand pass to Carmichael. He can't get boots the ball. And Perez forces him through for a minor score. It seems certain Collingwood would score. Sidebottom was also racing goal mouth. And really it was 1-on-2. And the one did well in Perez. 7-point lead North Melbourne's way.
This has been an entertaining afternoon at the football. It's been breathless between these two teams at the MCG. McDonald lopes in, kicks in for North Melbourne through the hands of Cox. Larkey's out the back. Curtis throws it on the boot. Bouncing ball toward the boundary line. It'll be deliberate. The crowd tells you all you need to know about the umpire's decision. He was really left with no choice as Josh Dacos wanders back inside the field of play. Chips laterally and defensively to Quainer, who directs some traffic for the Pies. Now moves it on with a high kick to centre half forward. Henry Cox reaches over the top. Great mark. He rolls onto his right boot, sends it to the pocket looking for Elliott. Can't mark. Fisted away by McDonald, who did well. Taylor takes it. McCreary got him again. Dragged him over the line. This time the umpire says throw it in. Near the junction of the 50 and the boundary. 7-point ball game. 14 gone last term.
He's having a tough time with the Curtis Taylor.
How good was the tackle from McCreary?
Terrific.
Didn't get him high. Got him by the back of the jumper. And escorted him over the boundary line.
The old horse collar.
That's his third tackle for this quarter, McCreary.
Goldstein won it down to Simpkin. Kicks it back to the defensive 50. Taylor underneath. Can't get it back to Simpkin. Sliding in Anderson recklessly. It spills to Hoskin Elliott. Snaps towards goal. Myercheck caught behind. Ben Mackay takes the mark on his chest. Wants to come down the corridor. Short to Young. He's still 25 metres out from his defensive goal at the city end. North 12-8-80. Collingwood 11-7-73. He flares a hand pass to the right back pocket for Core, who works it up and Marnie to sub into the action. Has it at right half back.
8 intercept marks for Ben Mackay. I think we've seen the last of him as a forward. He's been great today, moving back into defence. Marnie, the sub, kicks long down the line. Curtis among the pack for the Roos. Crisp was at the front of it all for the Pies. Clean hand pass through the traffic to Carmichael. Now to side bottom at left half forward, and they generate some runs. Side bottom inside the 50. Myercheck marks. 40 metres out. Couple in from the boundary left of centre. Brodie Myercheck can make it a 1-point game. He's kicked one already. That came in the third term. Collingwood were 28 points down late in the third. Myercheck goes around the body. It won't have the accuracy. And instead of being a 1-point game, it's a 1-kick game. 11-8-74 the Pies. North Melbourne 12-8-80 halfway through the final term.
Just got to find a couple of scores, North Melbourne.
They've got their hands on the footy, but they can't do much with it. There's Anderson out of defence, kicks up to Marnie, who marks it right half back. Thought about the hand pass back to Anderson, probably should have.
Inside 50s, 11-5, Clinchy. Game's being played in Collingwood's forward half.
Chips it to the southern wing to Scott, to Powell. He also thought about the hand pass to Marnie. All of a sudden, those decisions aren't quite as instinctive. Hand pass to Scott, ran into a dead end with Adams. To Marnie, who's bumped off it by Murphy. Quaynor knocks it forward. Adams can't take it. Scott's now locked up as Murphy lays the tackle. The umpire will throw it up between wing and half forward for the Roos.
They've gone away a little bit, North Melbourne, from that sort of mark handball, get the ball going. It's now mark handball, mark and stop.
All the momentum with the Pies at the moment. Can the Roos regain it across half forward? Davies Uniacke, a handball out to Simpkin, tries to paddle it along the boundary line. It's been paid deliberate. Umpire said he didn't try and keep it in. And so Steele side bottom will take a free kick on the outer side wing. Between the wing and half back. Side bottom gallops away. Sends it up toward half forward. Goldstein thumps it away from Cameron. Simpkin read it well off hands. Handball to Davies Uniacke, the dynamic duo in midfield for the Roos. They turned it over though. Adams is involved once more to side bottom to Murphy. Drives it to half forward. Henry got up, brought it down. He's first back to the footy and he's met by Core in a brick wall tackle. He was not escaping that. And a ball up near the numbers of the 50, the Pies into attack.
And that's what you want your fellow key defender to do, eh? Ben Mackay goes to ground because Murphy creates a contest and Core comes across and helps out.
He's had a lot of almost moments, Ollie Henry. As Cameron wins down the tap, there's nowhere to go as Hoskin Elliott lays the tackle. And Perez on the bottom of the pack. 50 metres out from Collingwood's goal. Thrown up, Cameron and Goldstein. Goldstein down to Simpkin, tackled by Lipinski. Did he throw it? He did, holding the footy. And Collingwood will get a shot on goal. Pat Lipinski just inside the 50. Hard out to the left. All of a sudden the pressure is immense around the footy. And Lipinski, this would take one of his best efforts. There's a lot of blocking taking place in the goal square. Just in case he wants a short option. Lipinski decides he's going to go himself. Veers out to the right from just inside 50. He shanks it and he bounces it out of bounds up against the left behind post. That would be deliberate, except you couldn't possibly claim he was trying to do that. That's as bad a kick as you'll see this afternoon. He's sort of smiling about it.
It's absolute sack. Didn't even squeak in for a score, so we've got it thrown in. Cameron goes to ground in ruck. McDonald overran the football for North Melbourne. Elliott's there. He's tackled by Simpkin, locked up. Goal the margin, North ahead. They led by 28 points late in the third term. Lipinski takes it off the pack this time. Feeds the handball toward Josh Dacos. He feeds it to Adams, who's been in everything. Sends it to full forward. The mark taken by Cameron. He was just too tall. And he's got it 20 out directly in front. He can tie the scores.
I thought that ball was touched off the boot, but it was just a mongrel punt by Taylor Adams, who's been in absolutely everything this quarter. Six possessions now, 2 clearances, 3 inside 50s.
Darcy Cameron's got a pair already. He glances up at the scoreboard. We were tied at quarter time at 4-2, 26 apiece. North have led ever since. Cameron comes in. and ties the scores in the final term. Third goal for Darcy Cameron. The Pies have got 4 here in the last. And we're knotted at 12-8, 80 apiece. 20 minutes gone, final quarter. Adam Ramanauskas with you on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they're having a massive quarter in the forward half of their ground, the Pies. 12 inside 50s to 5. Contested possession, which they just had to turn around. 25 to 19. Clearance is 9 to 5. But it's just play on at all costs with Collingwood at the moment. Take the ball forward at all costs. You know, they've got plenty of time. There's still plenty of time in this game. There's still 8 minutes of playing time to go. But it just now gives Collingwood plenty of time. They're back to level pegging now on the scoreboard. It's over to North Melbourne, really. Can they find some level of attack?
Pies with the last 4 goals of the match. Cameron gets the clearance, kicks towards half forward. Ginnivan nudged underneath. Young trying to get it down to the advantage of Scott. Hand pass away to Goldstein. Davies-Uniacke lost his footing. Tackled by Hoskin Elliott. It spills out to McCreery. He scraps forward at ground level with Perez underneath him, and the umpire will ball it up. Just the Roos struggling to get traction at the moment.
Been a long time between drinks here at the MCG for North Melbourne. Their last win here, round 9, 2017. They don't come here often. It'll be a big scalp if they can take it. And the man of the moment, Darcy Cameron, has won a free kick from the ball up on the front point of the square. He hoists it to fall forward. The big fly comes from Mackay. Couldn't take it. Scott was out the back for the Roos. Tumbling kick outside the defensive 50. It'll sit for Noble. Pokes it back into the pocket. Elliott the target. He couldn't quite keep it in. Carmichael picked it up. It did stay in. He threw it on the boot. It bounces toward goal. It might have gone through the lot of them. Josh Carmichael thought for a moment he had his first goal in the big time. It was touched on the line by the desperate defence of North Melbourne. And for the first time since the opening term, the Pies have got the lead.
North have quickly brought it back in. Court to Zeeble to Scott to Anderson at half back.
You talk about territory in football. North Melbourne this quarter, 600 metres gained. Collingwood, 1,300 metres gained. 700 metres more the Pies are going at this quarter.
Out to half back to Taylor. It goes back to Zeeble. To Anderson, gives the hand pass to McDonald. Some good run and dash. Drives it towards half forward. Coleman Jones is there, but Howe at the back of the pack. He was bounced in the third quarter, but he wasn't knocked out as he and Nathan Murphy collided. And Jeremy Howe doing what he does so well. Another intercept mark. Tries to kick up to Ollie Henry. Trying to keep it in. Hard against the boundary. Tackled by McDonald. Holding the footy. Luke McDonald wasn't falling for any tricks in which Henry was trying to sell.
Tough afternoon for the youngster. First round pick of the Pies from a year ago. Luke McDonald directs it to Taylor, who's been busy again for North Melbourne today. In front of the interchange gates, he wheels away on the right boot. Directs his pass nicely for Davies-Uniacke, who's 55 from home. He's got a lead in the pocket from Lazaro. Looks that off. He's going to send it centrally over the head of Larkey toward Coleman Jones, and Pendlebury, of all of them in the packet, fullback, takes the marker, releasing kick, finds Hoskin Elliott.
He didn't want to play on because he had nothing on the southern wing. Pushes back behind his mark and side bottom runs into space. Kicked a great goal early in the match in the second quarter. Dodging and weaving from the southern wing. Works it over the top to John Noble. Under the Shane Warne stand. Collingwood by a point. Noble veers out to the right. Gives it everything he's got. Up towards Cameron and Coleman Jones. Coleman Jones slaps it down. Straight to Hoskin Elliott. Kicks inside 50. Lipinski and Scott clears them. Elliott swoops onto it. Hard against the boundary. He looks to kick back towards the teeth of goal. Nick Dacos has gone forward. Marnie sees it out of play. And a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for the Pies.
They're pressing here again, Collingwood. They lead by a point. The last time they led was at the 24-minute mark of the opening term. 81 plays 80. North a decisive win in ruck through Coleman Jones. Greenwood dives on top of it. Ginnivan's in there. Umpire circling, ball up.
It's probably another 2 goals in this game. It's just which way they're going to go. all the momentum's with Collingwood. Can North just find one here?
Scores tied at quarter time. North by 20 at the half, 26 at three-quarter time. It's the Pies by a point late in the final term. Ginnivan's on top of the football. He's tackled again. It squirts free only momentarily before it's dragged back into the mess, and we're still 25 out from the Pies goal.
25 minutes all of a sudden has gone in the final term. Collingwood with 4 goals to none. Coleman Jones wins down the tap. Ginnivan over the footy. Coleman Jones has another go. Hand pass can't clear the congestion. Nick Dacos is tackled by Greenwood. And the umpire will throw it up. Same position, 30 metres out from Collingwood's goal. North are trying to drag numbers away. Jack Siebel instructing some of his Kangaroos players to open up space. Coleman Jones down to Anderson. The bailout kick hits side bottom, who's sliding to his right, takes the mark. Inside 50, 45 metres out directly in front.
Yeah, look, you understand what Anderson was trying to do there, just trying to clear the space, but Collingwood was so well set up behind that stoppage that it virtually had to go to the boundary line, that kick, otherwise it was going straight to a Collingwood player. Still, Sidebottom's been an absolute warrior, but he's lost a couple of metres in his kick, so this is no certainty.
Starts his approach from outside 50, steals Sidebottom for his second, and sending the Magpies fans into raptures at the city end. They've come from the clouds, and all of a sudden they're in front by 7 points. And they might be hard for the Roos to catch now. 5 goals, 4 to none in the final term. The Roos managing just 1 behind so far this term through 26 minutes. Steele Sidebottom with his second. Collingwood 13-9-87. North Melbourne 12-8-80.
And it's just been through constant forward half pressure by the Pies. The ball has just been locked in their forward half. 15 inside 50s now to only 6 for North Melbourne. They've capitalised. 5 goals, 4 in this quarter. Collingwood 9 scoring shots out of those 15 inside forward 50s. So it's been a terrific attacking quarter by the Pies, but there's still time for North. There is still time.
Can this young Roos side muster a late challenge, or will the Pies run away with it from here? Cameron slaps it out of the ruck for Collingwood. Simpkins chasing after it for North Melbourne. McCreary's bustling his way through the contest again. Lipinski gets the clearing kick inside the forward 50. Hoskin Elliott knocks it down to Ginnivan. That time he was taken high. No disputing that. Claws into him as well. Jack Ginnivan lies on the bottom of the pack. 60 from home. And he's slow to get to his feet. And he's going to take his kick. And at the very least, it takes some time off the clock for the Roos to work with. All the tall targets at full forward. Myercheck's down there. Cameron's down there. McCreary, Elliott too. Ginnivan's kick goes in that direction to the top of the square. Myercheck was up. Hoskin Elliott's there. Steps through the traffic. Handball off to McCreary to seal it. No. Misses to the left-hand side. Margin now 8 points to the Pies. 13-10-88, plays 12-8-80 through 28 minutes.
North have to take some risks. Scott into the back pocket for Young. Looks up the members' wing. Simpkin. Maynard came late. Cannon into him in the back. Just as Josh Dacos was about to reload for Collingwood. Jai Simpkin will take it at left half-back. 28 minutes gone, final term. Collingwood by 8 points. Simpkin looks down the members' wing. Coleman, Jones, Anderson there. Pendlebury flew in front, can't take the mark. Quaynor lays the tackle on Anderson. Spills out to Crisp. Couldn't get boot to ball. Quaynor knocks it to Maynard. Looking for Josh Dacos. Pinched by Taylor. Hand pass to Simpkin on the wing. Links up with Zerha. Through traffic. Couldn't find the hand pass. And Quaynor pinches it. Back to Nick Dacos. Kicks up towards Myercheck. Core reaches in front and punches it out of play. A boundary throwing it right half forward for the Magpies.
So 29 minutes played, 45,039 spectators in here this afternoon. Blood Raw with Simpkin coming off gives everyone a moment to breathe. Spectators, commentators included, Rammer.
Well, Simpkin's probably one of the last players North want off
11
in this situation. Yeah.
So 29 and a half minutes gone.
He's in the contest with Maynard.
And you'd think with 2 minutes left and maybe needing to get that taped up, it'd be Not a lot of time for Jai Simpkin to get back out on the ground. Collingwood by 8 points. Greenwood off the stoppage, hacks it forward for North Melbourne. Bouncing ball up the wing. Quainer left it behind. Curtis a tap in field. Taken by Adams. His handball taken by Zerha. Dragged across the boundary line by Quainer. And now Adams is a little bit slow to rise. The Collingwood Medicos rush out to him. And we'll have another pause in play. 12-8-80 North Melbourne, 13-10-88 Collingwood. 30 minutes played final term.
Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble here, Taylor Adams.
He's very groggy coming off the ground.
He's had a massive quarter.
So time starting to become an enemy of North Melbourne now.
Yeah, he's hit the knee of Zerha on the way down.
Straight down into the rooms.
Thrown back in, Goldstein tries to slap it clear, ricochets to Greenwood. Hand pass from Davies-Uniacke to Anderson, kicks towards half forward. Great mark, Zerha. He wants to move it quickly, veers to the right, sends it long towards Larkey. Getting back is Murphy, gets a fist to it. And it goes out of play in the left forward pocket for North. 30 minutes gone, approaching 31 in the final term. Collingwood by 8 points. In front of 45,039 fans. Can the Roos keep this clash alive? Thrown back in. Goldstein in front position, tries to take another ruck. A little fumble, ran into Quaynor, and Cameron lays the tackle. Still 35 metres out from North Melbourne's goal at the punt road end.
The opportunity's still there for North Melbourne, if good enough. Greenwood, Goldstein wins it down. Davies-Uniacke's there fighting for it. Nick Dacos lays on the bottom of the pack. They're locked up once more. Now 40 out from the North goal. In front of the North cheer squad, small smattering of supporters among the black and white. Zerha takes it off the pack, hooks it around the body to fall forward. It bounces back toward the goal line. Maynard rushes it through. Margin 7 points after the North behind. 31 and a half played in the final term, and Pendlebury will take every bit of time he's got here.
Brody Myercheck's back pedaling down the middle of the ground, but Pendlebury's going to be looking boundary side. Kicks towards Mason Cox, who reaches over the top of Goldstein and Cameron and takes the mark. Todd Goldstein is slow to rise. Mason Cox across half-back with the goggles. Sends it towards Carmichael, clears him and Elliott. At the back of the pack, Anderson gathers, sends it back towards Goldstein and Cox. This time, Goldstein almost took it. Maynard runs onto it. Hand pass boundary side for Josh Dacos. Combines with brother Nick, wants the boundary line. And Lazaro tackles him out of play.
So 7 points the spread. 13-10 plays 12-9. Ball to be thrown back in. On the wing, just in North's attacking half. Goldstein reaches in front. Davies-Uniacke thumps it inside the forward 50. Mackay's among the targets. Out the back is Larkey. He paddles it to his own advantage. Noble slides through, picked up by Powell. Handball back to Larkey. Has to go for broke now. Kicks to the pocket. Zeeble up against the behind post. Did it bounce off? It doesn't matter. They got every bit they could handle, the Pies. And they withstand a fierce North Melbourne challenge. They've won 7 in a row, victors by 7.
They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should. Ships a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
13-10-88 to 12-9-81 the final score. The Pies rattled home with 5 goals, 5 in the final term after trailing by 26 points as they turned for home. North Melbourne bounced back in a big way, but they couldn't hold on. And the big win to Collingwood puts them up to 5th on the table as their march towards September continues. Darcy Cameron kicked 3, Elliott and Sidebottom as well as Ginnivan 2. Another big win for the Pies.
Forever, they know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barricades are shouting as all barricades should.
Collingwood winners by 7 points. They've become the masters of the close finish. That's 6 wins in games by 11 points or less. And how different that makes the ladder look. They're up to 5th spot, as Joel mentioned, on the AFL ladder, kicking 5 goals, 5 in that final term to the Roos, 2 behind. The thoughts of Adam Romanascus, your expert on ABC Sport.
Oh, you sort of got a feel for North Melbourne, really, in this case, because they did everything right, and it just that last quarter has truly let them down. You know, Collingwood came out hard. They kicked 3 goals in that first sort of 8 minutes of that quarter, and all the pressure you could feel went back onto North Melbourne. Then Collingwood got those last two goals in red time to win the game. So it was terrific by Collingwood. They were undoubtedly challenged, and felt like, and you feel like North Melbourne were the better team for the majority of the day. But what happens is, I think the good teams, and I think Collingwood are starting to be talked about as a better team, and they find a way. And they simply just found a way late in that game to get the job done. 16 inside 50s to 9 in that last quarter. 5 goals, 5. They scored 10 times in 16 opportunities. They tackles that quarter, Collingwood. They had 24 tackles for that quarter. They comfortably won contested football in that quarter, 40-33. Great effort. I thought Taylor Adams was enormous in that last quarter. He particularly early. He willed him on early, just forcing that ball forward. I know we talk about territory a lot in the game of football, but last quarter Collingwood had 430 more metres gained in that last quarter, and they had less possessions than North Melbourne. The possession count was only 85 to 78 in North Melbourne's favour, but they had 430 more metres gained.
A hug between North Melbourne coach David Noble and son John Noble. And no doubt they'll have a bit to talk about tonight or when they catch up, because North, for a lot of the afternoon, looked like they were the winners. And Collingwood kicked the last 5 goals of the match to overrun them. So to some extent, Collingwood get what they need out of it. Do North get enough sort of reassurance that they're garnering belief and they're building something?
I think so. Look, if they can play like that for the remainder of the year with that level of intensity, 59 inside 50s they've had this week. Luke Davies-Uniacke was sensational. Anderson, Simpkin. I thought Ben Mackay had just an outstanding game of football today. He's had 11 intercept possessions today. So they got good performance. Like Curtis Taylor, he took a beating in that last quarter, but he was there all day. Just this wing right in front of our commentary box. He was up and down. Luke McDonald had another solid game. So I think, if North Melbourne can provide that level of effort for the remainder of the season, they will give a good showing, and their supporters will go home now tonight going, yep, I'm happy with that. We may have lost, but geez, we had a go.
And we probably found a few answers. We know Mackay's a defender.
Yep.
I mean, he's just,
I think we all knew that.
He's just got to play there now after the performance in probably a negative sense up forward, and then how good he was back today. But think about the moments in the last quarter. So the McCreary, the couple of tackles, the Nick Dacos goal. Pendlebury takes a massive mark in the packet fullback, and then side bottom with the goal to finish it all off. And you think about some of the names there are some of the lesser lights, but Adams' involvement, Pendlebury and side bottom, when they needed it, the Pies got some big performances from their biggest names.
North Melbourne led from the 14-minute mark of the 11-minute mark actually of the opening term, all the way until the 20-minute mark of the final term. So for a lot of the match, they did a lot right, but Collingwood came storming home in the final term to kick 5 goals to none and eventually win by 7 points. 13-10-88 to North Melbourne at 12-9-81. The Pies take on Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval next Saturday, while North Melbourne have Richmond back at Docklands. We're on air for another 2 minutes or so, so remember, if you got a 3-2-1 for the ABC Football of the Year.
I do. I gave 1 vote to Ben Mackay. I just thought he was sensational today. One, he held Brody Myercheck for the majority of the day, but his intercept marks and his courage in the air. He had 11 intercept possessions. I think 9 of those were intercept marks. So he was sensational. I gave 2 to Taylor Adams. Mainly really for his last quarter. He's had 28 possessions. 11 contested, 7 inside forward 50s. But when that game needed to be won, when Collingwood needed some inspiration, Taylor Adams was that. You know, those first 3 goals, he was involved in all 3 of them, just through just willed himself into a contest, willed the ball forward, and that's what you want out of your leaders. And I go 3 to Luke Davies-Uniacke. I thought as a consistent performer throughout the day, 33 possessions, 16 contested, 12 clearances, and 7 of those were centre bounce clearances, 11 tackles, 14 inside 50s, and 800 metres gained.
So the 3 and the 1 get the votes in a losing team.
They do.
3 to Luke Davies-Uniacke, 2 to Taylor Adams, and 1 to Ben Mackay from Adam Ramanauskas in the ABC Footballer of the Year. In the cricket, day 2 of the second test between Australia and Sri Lanka. Australia all out for 364. Yeah. So Steve Smith unbeaten on 145. But Carey out for 28, Stark for 1, Cummins for 5, Lyon for 5, and Swepson for 3. So the wickets tumbled this afternoon, or early today over there. Joe Surya was 6 for 118 from his 36 overs, and Sri Lanka in response, none for 5. We're taking you to the Gold Coast next as the Gold Coast Suns taking on Richmond from Carrara with Quentin Hull, Michael Price, Jason Ackermanis and Jeff White. And depending on where you're listening to us, for our Victorian, Tasmanian, Western Australian and Northern Territory listeners, you'll get St Kilda and Fremantle from Docklands tonight. And for our South Australian, New South Wales and ACT News Radio audience, you'll be getting Port Adelaide and GWS from the Adelaide Oval. Thank you, Rama. Thanks for your work across the afternoon.
No worries at all. It was a unexpected game of football, but very happy with it.
Was indeed. Sellers took his early cue up the highway.
He did.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks to Laura Borden. Thanks to Stuart Hollywood-Baker and Craig Davis back in the studio. The Magpies will 7th win, winning by 7 points over North Melbourne. 13-10-88 to the Roos, 12-9-81. So the Pies jump up to 5th position on the AFL ladder in front of 45,039 fans. For our New South Wales audience, you're off to the NRL. For everyone else, you're off to the Gold Coast. It's the Tigers taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Wherever you're listening, enjoy the rest of your day on ABC Sport.
Know the story with ABC News Digital.